The Priestess's time travel. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 501, The Destitute Daughter. Fortunately or unfortunately, the prince did not go to the point of fighting with the emperor. He fell ill and died. The Jin family's bet wasted, and now they have to choose between several princes and bet on two of them. How can the princes be happy with their behavior of choosing princes like cabbage? What's more, they bet on both sides and thought that others didn't find out. In fact, the princes they bet on found out, but they didn't turn against them because they still wanted to use the Jin family. The princes felt disgusted by this kind of mean behavior of fence-sitters. And the Jin family took the two children to the capital this time, not only because Mrs. Jin missed her grandchildren, but also because they wanted to pull Prefect Qin onto their boat by holding the two children hostage. Prefect Qin was a genuine royalist. After realizing the Jin family's calculations, he submitted a memorial to the emperor. The emperor asked Prefect Qin to play along and become a nail around his two sons. Why did Su Qingni feel familiar when she heard Prefect Qin introduce the Jin family? After thinking about it, this Jin family is very similar to the Jia family in Dream of Red Mansions. The old head of the family is also gone, leaving an old feudal lord who is domineering and partial to the youngest son. After the eldest daughter-in-law died, the eldest son married a stepmother who is not up to the standard, and took this opportunity to hand over the housekeeping power to the youngest daughter-in-law, letting the second wife run the family. The eldest son's son, that is, the second grandson, married the niece of the second wife's wife, and the couple became the outer housekeeper and inner housekeeper who ran errands for the second wife. The eldest son of the second wife, that is, the eldest grandson, died early due to poor health, leaving behind a pair of orphans and widows. The youngest son of the second wife, that is, the third grandson, looks the best and looks the most like the deceased duke. Old Lady Jin loves this grandson the most. The third grandson is the phoenix egg of the entire duke's mansion. This phoenix egg is very similar to the phoenix egg of Jia Baoyu. He has been surrounded by a group of beautiful women since he was a child and grew up in a pile of cosmetics. The duke's mansion did not have 4 Yuan Ying Tanzai girls, but only 2 girls. The eldest girl of the second room had already entered the palace to seek a career, and the second girl of the first room was the same age as Su Qingni, and was taught by old Lady Jin. Su Qingni stared at Prefect Qin with burning eyes. This one was Lin Ruhei. Then Qin Yiren was Sister Lin, right? Well, if I hadn't come to the Qin family and hadn't taken action to save Qin Anren. With the weak bodies of Qin Anren and the Qin family before, even if there was no poisoning, Qin Anren and Mrs. Qin would not have lived long. Qin Anren, the son who established a family, died, and Mrs. Qin, the wife who lived in harmony with him, also died. Prefect Qin's heart must have died, and he had a death wish in his heart, so he sent his youngest daughter who was still alive to the Jin family without a care. As a result, Prefect Qin died in office a few years later, and Qin Yiren died in depression at a young age in the Jin family 360 days a year, with wind and frost and sword pressing hard, and all the family wealth of the Qin family fell into the pockets of the Jin family. It's no wonder the Qin Yiren's beautiful and graceful appearance and delicate figure are very similar to the description of Lin Daiyu. Qingni, why do you look at me like this? Qin Zifu felt uneasy when Su Qingni looked at him, so he touched his face and asked Su Qingni. Su Qingni retracted her gaze and chuckled twice. I remembered a storybook and found it very interesting. Would you like to listen to it, cousin? Qin Zifu knew that Su Qingni would not mention irrelevant things, and thought that there should be some mystery in this story, so he said, I would like to hear the details. Su Qingni simply told Qin Zifu the plot of Dream of Red Mansions. When Qin Zifu heard that Lin Tanhu's young son and wife died one after another, and he could only send his youngest daughter to his ancestral home outside the capital, his hands were clenched into fists. When he heard that the Lin family's wealth was all embezzled by the Jia family, and that Lin Daiyu used the Jia family for every piece of paper and ink, Qin Zifu clenched his teeth. When he finally heard that Lin Daiyu's soul disappeared in Xiaoxiang Pavilion, he waved his hand and swept the teacup on the table to the ground. Prefect Qin's face turned dark blue, and he asked sharply, if Anran hadn't met Qingni, would her Qin family have ended up the same as the Lin family? Su Qingni hadn't confirmed it with the heaven of this world, so she couldn't give Prefect Qin a definite answer, and she just remained silent. Prefect Qin thought that Su Qingni had acquiesced. He thought that Su Qingni was the result of divination, so he didn't doubt it. Moreover, he knew his own affairs and the Jin family. If Su Qingni hadn't intervened, with the weakness of his youngest son, he might really die young. His wife's health was not much better than that of his youngest son. Once his youngest son died, his wife's spirit and energy were also drained away, and she would definitely not live long. At that time, he would also die in his heart, and if he, a grown man, couldn't take good care of his daughter, he would definitely send his youngest daughter to the wolf's den of the Jin family. Prefect Qin couldn't help but shudder, and his eyes were full of gratitude when he looked at Su Qingni. Thanks to Su Qingni, the fate of their family has changed. Although his wife is still dead, his son is still there, and the next generation of the Qin family is still there, so the Qin family will not be extinct. Moreover, his body is very healthy now, and he will not let his daughter end up in a situation where there is no one to rely on. Combined with the plot on Dream of Red Mansions, and thinking about the current Jin family, Prefect Qin regretted agreeing to send his son and daughter to the Jin family with Mrs. Jin. However, he had already promised Mrs. Jin. If he regretted it, it would be difficult to explain to the Jin family, and it would not be good for the reputation of the two children. After all, the Jin family is their maternal grandparents. The grandmother wanted them to go to the mother's place to show filial piety, but they would be unfilial if they did not go. Su Qingni saw Prefect Qin's embarrassment, and out of sympathy for Lin Dayu's father, she comforted Prefect Qin, "Don't worry, I will be with Anren and Yiren, and I will not let them be bullied." Prefect Qin asked her to come here. Didn't he also want to let her, Qin Yiren and Qin Anren enter the Jin family and protect them? Moreover, she really wanted to go to the Jin family and see the real version of the Rongguo mansion. Well, will there be a day when she can really travel to a world exactly like the Dream of Red Mansions? Su Qingni couldn't help looking forward to it. After hearing Su Qingni's assurance, Prefect Qin felt relieved. He expressed his gratitude to Su Qingni and promised that he would be transferred back to the capital as soon as possible to pick up Su Qingni and the other two from the Jin mansion. Su Qingni expressed her trust in Prefect Qin's ability. In fact, with Prefect Qin's ability, he could have been promoted and returned to the capital long ago. It's just that the emperor attaches great importance to Jiangnan, and he must have his loyal confidant stay in Jiangnan to help him watch over everything in Jiangnan. Therefore, Prefect Qin has been the prefect of Suzhou for many years. Now, after hearing about Lin Rui's ending, Prefect Qin's mentality has changed. Although he is still loyal to the emperor, he pays more attention to his family. Chapter 502, The Destitute Daughter. A month later, the eldest son of the Jin family, the butler of the duke's mansion, Jin Dulu, came to Suzhou to pick up his cousin and cousin to go to the Jin mansion in Beijing. Jin Dulu said that it was no problem at all for Prefect Qin to put one more person in the team. The Jin family will treat the cousin of the Qin family well. Although Qin Yiren and Qin Anren were very reluctant, they still said goodbye to their father and boarded the boat to the capital with Su Qingni. There was no conversation along the way. A month later, the boat docked in Tongzhou again. Everyone changed carriages and headed for the capital. Su Qingni slightly lifted the curtain of the carriage and looked outside. The capital was still the same as before, not much different from when she was just born. Su Qingni couldn't help but think of the Lian family, the Li family, and the children who replaced her. I don't know how they are doing. Su Qingni remembered that Aunt Chu's family seemed to have said that she looked very similar to the old lady of the Lian family. They were afraid that the Lian family would see Su Qingni and discover the truth, so they wanted to send Su Qingni away. She touched her face. Now this body is already 11 years old, and her facial features have grown a little. Does she really look like the old lady of the Lian family? The Jin family and the Lian family are in the same circle. If there are any banquets and flower viewing parties, both families will definitely participate. As the cousin of the Qin family and the guest of the Jin family, she will naturally participate. When the time comes, she will meet the Lian family. I don't know how they will react. Su Qingni thought of the good show that will happen in the future, and let down the curtain. She will not admit that she is a member of the Lian family. Even if the Lian family has doubts, even if they investigate the truth, it is their own business and has nothing to do with her. Sister Qingni, what are you laughing at? Qin Yiren asked in a low voice. It's nothing. Su Qingni looked at the little girl's nervous but strong and calm appearance, and said to her, don't be afraid, your grandparents' home is not a den of dragons and tigers, it won't eat you and Anren. Qin Anren nodded vigorously on the side. Sister is just thinking too much? Don't you think about it, the two of us have learned a lot of skills from Sister Qingni, and we can't deal with a group of women. What women? They are our grandmother and aunt. Qin Yiren stretched out her finger and poked her brother's forehead, and said unhappily, the grandparents' home is the Duke's mansion. Unlike other families, it should be very majestic and have strict rules. I'm afraid that the two of us will not perform well and embarrass the Qin family. Qin Anren covered her forehead that was poked and hurt, and said unconvinced, what's wrong with the Duke's mansion? Our Qin family is also a noble family, and a marquis's mansion. The Duke's mansion is worse in recruiting soldiers. Anren is right. Su Qingni supported Qin Anren. Yiren, you just like to think too much? The Qin family is no worse than the Jin family, and you are the cousins of the Jin family, with noble status. Who dares to laugh at you? I say you should let go of your mind, stop thinking about it, and enjoy a year in the Jin family. You are honored guests, and the Jin family dare not neglect you. After a year, when Lord Qin returns to Beijing, he will take you back to the Qin family. Even if there are people in the Jin family who don't like you, can they still chase after the Qin family and say bad things about you? Yes, sister, if you have the heart to think about it, you might as well think about astrology. Brother is better than you in this aspect. Qin Anren said a little proudly. Humph, I will study hard after I settle down, and I will definitely catch up with you. Qin Yiren snorted, but the uneasiness in her heart dissipated a lot. The two siblings laughed, and the uneasiness in their hearts was eliminated. While talking and laughing, the group had arrived outside the Jin mansion. Prefect Qin learned the lesson of Lin Ruhe in the Red Mansion, but he did not send only a few servants to accompany the Qin siblings to the capital. Prefect Qin sent many servants and brought a lot of gifts to show the style of the official young master and young lady. It would never make people think that the Qin siblings were poor relatives who came to ask for money. Because there were so many people and they brought a lot of things, they were very imposing. The gatekeeper of the Jin mansion did not dare to let the Qin siblings go through the corner door, but opened the side door to let everyone in the Qin family enter. The carriage drove directly to the second gate. Su Qingni and the Qin siblings got off the carriage, and immediately a young lady came forward to greet them with a smile. This young lady was Jin Dulu's wife, Xiao Wang, a very bold and cheerful woman. The Qin siblings had a good first impression of Xiao Wang. Led by Xiao Wang, the group entered the courtyard where Mrs. Jin lived. Old Mrs. Jin hugged her grandson and granddaughter and cried out in grief. She also shed tears to miss her dead daughter, which made the Qin family siblings cry. The other people in the room also cried, which made Su Qingni give a thumbs up. The women in the backyard are all drama queens. Su Qingni stood aside silently to watch the drama and took a look at the women in the room. Although the first wife soon wiped her eyes with a handkerchief, she didn't shed a single tear, and her eyes were cold. This coldness was not only towards the Qin family siblings, but also towards everyone in the Jin family. It seems that this person has no feelings for the Jin family, and even hates them. It's interesting. Even if she is looked down upon by the Jin family as a small family like Mrs. Xing and cannot manage the household, she shouldn't hate the Jin family, right? At most, she is dissatisfied with the Jin family and wants to take back the housekeeper's power from the second room. Why does she look like she hates everyone in the Jin family? Su Qingni looked at Sun carefully, and from her complexion, Su Qingni made a guess. Whether it is true or not, it still needs to be confirmed. The second wife, Dao Wang, is a master of acting. Her face is full of love, and her tears are falling without cost. Her sad look seems to be how good a relationship with her sister-in-law is. Only by looking carefully can you find the gloating in her eyes and the contempt for the two children. Compared with her aunt, Xiao Wang is not bad at acting, and she looks very beautiful when she cries, as if she has practiced many times. Zhang, the eldest granddaughter-in-law of the second room, is young and widowed. At this moment, she should think of her husband who died early from Mrs. Qin. She is very sad and cries the most sincerely among all the women. The second girl of the first room has no impression of her aunt, and she has no sad emotions, but her handkerchief should be soaked in ginger water, wiped at the corners of her eyes, and the tears flowed out. Su Qingni thought that the girl's eyes must be swollen. Should I remind her to ask the maid to boil an egg to apply to her eyes? After crying, it was time to greet other women, and Su Qingni also greeted Mrs. Jin. Old Mrs. Jin welcomed Su Qingni's arrival. When she saw Su Qingni's appearance, she was a little surprised, but she didn't say anything. She just smiled and asked the maid to give Su Qingni a gift. Chapter 503, The Destitute Daughter 12. At dinner time, all the men of the Jin family came to the courtyard of Mrs. Jin, first to meet their nephews and nieces cousins, and then to have a reunion dinner. Su Qingni and the Qin siblings met Jin Duoxiao, the treasure of the Jin family. Although Jin Duoxiao is the most beloved grandson of Mrs. Jin is not as confused as Jia's mother. She hopes that her children and grandchildren will be motivated and capable, so Jin Duoxiao was sent to school at the age of 6. When the Qin siblings arrived at the Jin mansion, Jin Duoxiao was studying in the school. He came home after school to see his cousins. Jin Duoxiao did not have the jade in his mouth, so naturally he would not have any plot to smash the jade. However, this boy grew up among beautiful maids and liked beautiful girls like Jia Baoiu. Qin Yiren was very beautiful, and Su Qingni was also beautiful. Jin Duoxiao was stunned, and then he kept trying to please Qin Yiren and Su Qingni. Su Qingni maintained a high and cold personality and ignored Jin Duoxiao. Qin Yiren occasionally said a few words to Jin Duoxiao because he was her cousin. Just these 2 words made Jin Duoxiao very excited, and he became more enthusiastic about Qin Yiren, and kept getting close to Qin Yiren. Qin Anren was furious. What did this pervert want to do to his sister? Qin Anren directly inserted himself between Jin Duoxiao and Qin Yiren, supported Jin Duoxiao and smiled falsely. Third cousin, I heard that you are very good at studying in the school. Can you give me some advice? After that, a lot of questions were thrown out. These questions were simple and difficult. Not to mention that Jin Duoxiao, a child who didn't study very hard, couldn't answer them. Even Qin Anren's second uncle Jin Laoer, who was a scholar, couldn't answer many of them. Jin Duoxiao retreated with tears in his eyes. Qin Anren snorted triumphantly. Such a fool dares to covet his own sister? Exclamation mark. I will teach you how to be a man. Old Lady Jin and Mrs. Wang showed a hint of unhappiness on their faces, but it disappeared quickly. They were still cheerful in front of the Qin siblings and Su Qingni. After dinner, the Qin siblings and Su Qingni said goodnight to Old Lady Jin, and were led by the Qin servants to the courtyard where they lived. With Qin Anren and Su Qingni coming together, Old Lady Jin naturally would not arrange Qin Yiren to live in her courtyard, but asked Mrs. Wang to clean up a larger courtyard for the 3 of them to live in. The Qin servants followed and lived in the courtyard to serve, while the Jin servants only did rough work in the courtyard and could not get close to the 3 young masters. Su Qingni and the Qin siblings sat in the main hall of the courtyard, drinking the boiled water served by the Qin servants. It's better not to drink tea at night, and let out a long sigh. Sister Qingni, sister, I don't like people from my grandparents' family. Qin Anren spoke first. Qin Yiren sighed, she didn't like it either. The people from the maternal grandparents' family seemed very enthusiastic towards the siblings, but the sensitive little girl could not feel their sincerity, she only felt that they were perfunctory. Don't say that again. Qin Yiren told her brother. Qin Anren said, I understand. I only complained in front of my 2 sisters and won't say it outside. Su Qingni comforted the 2 of them, you 2 are not gold and silver, and everyone likes you. It's normal that the people from the Jin family don't like you, and you don't like them either. You have your own father who likes you. Be patient. In just 1 year, you will be able to reunite with Lord Qin and leave the Jin family. After that, she reminded the 2 of them, during this year, you must be careful and don't let the people from the Jin family plot against you. Plot. Qin Yiren wondered, what can we plot against? Su Qingni looked at Qin Yiren and chuckled, your marriage. Today, Jin Duoxiao kept coming to you to show his courtesy, and the Jin family didn't stop him. You can't tell what they are thinking. Qin Yiren's face flushed for a moment, and then turned pale. Qin Anren said angrily, bah, how can Jin Duoxiao, that idiot, be worthy of my sister? Su Qingni smiled and said, the Jin family should be planning to let your sister and Jin Duoxiao grow up together, so that your sister and Jin Duoxiao can develop feelings for each other. At that time, even if Lord Qin disagrees to marry his beloved daughter to the daughter of a 6th-rank official, as long as your sister is willing, Lord Qin will have no choice. I don't want to, I won't be willing anyway. Qin Yiren whispered. Qin Yiren still feels a little close to her maternal grandparents. After all, when her mother was still alive, she often talked to her about her maternal grandparents. Qin Yiren's little heart began to yearn for her maternal grandparents. Compared to Qin Anren, who had no feelings or impressions of her maternal grandparents, Qin Yiren had feelings and expectations. But today, Seeing the people of her maternal grandparents with her own eyes and knowing their calculations, Niangniang felt that she had been greatly deceived, and her yearning disappeared, leaving only disappointment. Su Qingni reached out and touched the little girl's head, comforting her. "Don't worry, Anren and I are here. The Jin family can't plot against you." Niangniang nodded repeatedly. She knew Su Qingni's abilities very well. She and her brother had only learned less than 1/10 of her abilities, which was already extraordinary. With Su Qingni protecting her, she just had to live in peace. Niangniang rubbed Su Qingni's palm and smiled beautifully. In this way, Su Qingni, Niangniang and Anren settled down in the Jin family. As expected, Jin Duoxiao came to find the three of them every day. The three of them barely dealt with Jin Duoxiao for a few days, and they were really impatient, so they began to torment Jin Duoxiao in various ways. Today, they gave Jin Duoxiao some itching powder, tomorrow they gave Jin Duoxiao some laxatives, and the day after tomorrow they put a bad luck charm on Jin Duoxiao. Jin Duoxiao began to have all kinds of bad luck, but people couldn't find out that it was Su Qingni and the Qin siblings who did it. The Jin family first asked the imperial physician to treat Jin Duoxiao, but after Jin Duoxiao suffered all kinds of bad luck, the Jin family turned to the direction of ghosts and metaphysics. They first took Jin Duoxiao to a famous temple to burn incense and worship Buddha, and asked the abbot of the temple to see Jin Duoxiao. The monk naturally couldn't see anything. The Jin family then took Jin Duoxiao to the Taoist temple and asked the Taoist priest for help. Of course, there was no effect. Just when the Jin family was at a loss, a wandering sorcerer met Boss Jin and said that someone in the Jin family had an accident. Boss Jin thought that the sorcerer was a master, so he quickly invited him back home and asked the master to see Jin Duoxiao and help him eliminate disasters and solve problems. The sorcerer asked for Jin Duoxiao's birth date and horoscope for a long time, and asked the Jin family to ask for the birth dates and horoscopes of all the people living in the Jin family to calculate, and then said that Jin Duoxiao and Niangniang's horoscopes were not compatible, so they should stay away, let alone meet. Otherwise, Jin Duoxiao would be unlucky every time they met. The Jin family thought, isn't that the case? Jin Duoxiao's misfortune started after Niangniang came to the Jin family. Chapter 504, The Destitute Daughter 13. As soon as this conclusion was reached, the Jin family immediately prohibited the Qin siblings and Su Qingni from approaching Jin Duoxiao. As long as Jin Duoxiao did not see Niangniang, he would not have any bad luck. The Jin family sent the sorcerer away with a generous gift, and then became cold to Su Qingni and the other two. Even the grandmother, Mrs. Jin, rarely called Niangniang to her side, and only asked Su Qingni and the Qin siblings to stay in the yard and not go out unless necessary. This 180-degree turn in attitude made the Qin siblings a little sad, and they also saw the people of the Jin family more clearly, and the little affection they still had for the Jin family was completely gone. Because of the attitude of the master, the servants of the Jin family also followed suit and disrespected Su Qingni and the other two. The situation of the three people now became somewhat similar to that of Lin Daiyu in Rongguo Mansion. The servants spread rumors about the three people, saying that the three people were not good here and there, and the meals sent to the yard of the three people were perfunctory. If Anren wanted to eat some of his favorite food, the Qin family had to pay for the Qin family's kitchen to cook it. Fortunately, they brought a lot of Qin family servants with them. With these servants protecting them, the Jin family's servants couldn't run up to the three of them to complain. As for the inconvenience of life, Su Qingni ordered the Qin family's servants to smash a hole in the wall closest to their yard and install a small door. In the future, they would go in and out through this small door when they wanted to buy things, and they wouldn't have to go through the Jin family's main door. It was convenient. Su Qingni also asked the Qin family's servants to build a small kitchen in the yard where they lived. In the future, the Qin family would buy ingredients and cook by themselves, and the food sent by the Jin family's kitchen would be sent by the Qin family's servants to the little beggars in the city. The Qin family made such a big move, but the Jin family didn't notice it. From the master to the servants, they deliberately ignored the Qin family, so how could they find out that the Qin family cooked for themselves? They didn't even notice that there was an extra door in their house. However, not everyone in the Jin family treated Su Qingni and the Qin siblings coldly. The eldest wife, Sun, was different from the others in the Jin family. She was very cold to the three people at first, but after the incident with Jin Duoxiao, Sun would occasionally come to their yard to talk to the three people, express her concern, comfort them, and tell them not to be sad because of the Jin family's attitude, saying it was not worth it. She even suggested that Qin Yiren write a letter to the prefect Qin, asking the prefect Qin to send someone to take them home, so as not to be wronged in the Jin family again. The Qin siblings were very experienced, so why did Sun's attitude change 180 degrees? The other people in the Jin family have also changed their attitudes. Sun is just doing the opposite of them. Su Qingni said, Sun hates the Jin family. She doesn't like things that the Jin family cares about, and she will make friends with things that the Jin family doesn't like. Qin Yiren and Qin Anren were both very puzzled. Why does Aunt hate the Jin family? Su Qingni said, the last time Sun came to our yard, I pretended to hand her something and took her pulse. Someone gave Sun a sterilization drug, and she will never be able to have children again in her life. Sterilization drug. Qin Yiren and Qin Anren both gasped. Su Qingni nodded, it should be the Jin family who gave Sun the drug. The Jin family needs a second wife, but they don't want the second wife to give birth to a child and threaten the two masters who are already alive. No, it should be just to prevent her from giving birth to a child that threatens Jin Duoxiao. Jin Dulu has been spoiled, who knows if the title of the Jin family will fall on him in the future. Impossible. Qin Yiren and Qin Anren didn't want to believe Su Qingni's words, but reason told them that Su Qingni's words were very likely to be true. The attitude of the Jin family towards their two siblings can show the character of this family. They can really do such a thing. Qin Yiren and Qin Anren couldn't help but sympathize with Sun. The next time Sun came to visit them in the courtyard, the two of them treated Sun better. Sun was slightly surprised and figured it out. These two children are smart people, they must have known something. Only those self-righteous people in the Jin family think that they are smart people, and others are stupid people, being played by them. They want to win over Mr. Qin, but they treat Mr. Qin's two children like this. It's strange that he will listen to them. It's so stupid. They are betting on several sides, and they are not afraid that all the boats will capsize. She is waiting for the day when the Jin family is confiscated and punished. Even if she is implicated by the Jin family, and goes to prison and exile to the frontier with the Jin family, and suffers together, she will smile. The days passed by the Jin family's neglect of the Qin siblings and the occasional visits of Sun. When the Jin family received the news that the prefect Qin had been transferred back to the capital to become the minister of the Ministry of Revenue, they found that they wanted to win over the prefect Qin. He is no longer the prefect now, and the task of winning over Mr. Qin was not completed. After they brought the Qin siblings here, they didn't achieve any of the originally planned goals. How can that be? They must deal with the three little guys before Mr. Qin goes to Beijing, let them influence their father, and let Mr. Qin become their thugs. So, after that day, old lady Jin began to frequently invite Su Qingni and Qin Yiren to her courtyard to play, and the big and small Wangs would send things to the courtyard of the Qin siblings almost every few days. In addition to Jin Duoxiao walking around Qin Yiren, the little Wang, Zhang and Huishu often came to the courtyard of the Qin siblings to chat with Qin Yiren and flatter Qin Yiren in various ways. If it were a little girl, she would have been flattered and forgotten who she was, and would treat the Jin family as the closest relatives and support them in everything. Would she be controlled by them all of a sudden? Unfortunately, little girl Qin Yiren was a very smart and transparent little girl. The little girl listened to these flattering words from the Jin family and didn't take them to heart at all, but pretended to be flattered by the Jin family. The Jin family was very proud and thought that the little girl was really controlled by them. Lord Qin returned to the capital as quickly as possible and took the two children back to his house as soon as possible. The servants of the Qin family reported all the experiences of the children this year to Master Qin. You can imagine how angry Master Qin was with the Jin family. Although the so-called sorcerer was a trick by the children, the Jin family treated the children harshly because of it. As their elders, how could they tolerate it? Want to help them? Dream on. Master Qin made a false speech to the Jin family. Whatever they said, Master Qin would say back. He made the Jin family speechless. Master Qin successfully took his three young people away from the Jin mansion. Chapter 505, The Destitute Daughter 14. When Qin Yiren returned to the Qin family, she was greeted by 4 foster nurses that Lord Qin had found for her. Qin Yiren looked at Su Qingni with resentment. She would no longer have a free and unrestrained life. Su Qingni smiled back. The little girl had been comfortable for more than a year, which was already very good. It was because Lord Qin loved his daughter too much that Qin Yiren had been leisurely for so many years. Other young ladies began to learn rules and housekeeping when they were 5 or 6 years old, learning this and that, and it was very hard. Sister Qingni, please study with me. Little Miss Qin hugged Su Qingni's arm and wanted to find a classmate for herself. Su Qingni pulled her hand out and replied coldly with 2 words, no. She still had to teach the young Master Qin his lessons. Su Qingni had studied the 4 books and 5 classics in other worlds, and had the talent of a champion. It was easy for her to teach a child the knowledge of the imperial examination. During the year at the Jin family, because the Jin family ignored them, they did not think of letting Qin Anren go to the Jin family to study. In order not to delay Qin Anren's study, Su Qingni took over the burden of teaching Qin Anren the knowledge for the imperial examination in addition to teaching the 2 siblings other lessons. A year later, Mr. Qin inspected his son's learning progress and found that his son's level was much higher than a year ago. When he asked you if Su Qingni taught his son, he no longer hired a teacher for his son, but only asked Su Qingni to teach Qin Anren first. When Qin Anren was 2 years older, he sent him to the academy to study. The Qin family's life was much more comfortable than in the Jin family. After leaving the Jin family, the Qin family never went to the Jin family again. The Jin family panicked, so Xiao Wang and Huishu came to the Qin family every few days to please Su Qingni and Qin Yiren. Huishu's personality is very similar to Tanshin in Dream of Red Mansions. She is a generous and ambitious girl. She often came to the Qin family not only for the tasks assigned to her by Mrs. Jin, but also for the Qin family's tutoring nanny. This girl often asked the tutoring nanny about the palace. It is obvious that this girl has a lofty ambition and wants to enter the palace to become a superior person. But girl, the emperor is now over 50 years old, and you are only in your teens. Don't you think the emperor is too old? Also, your elder sister has entered the palace, but she has not made any progress in these years. Do you think the people in the second house will let you enter the palace and share your elder sister's resources? Qin Yiren saw it very clearly, and wanted to remind the girl Huishu a few words. But the girl didn't listen to other people's persuasion at all. She had a very positive idea. She thought that the reason why her elder sister didn't make any progress was because she was the daughter of a 6th-rank official and could only be a female official. But she was a real lady of the Duke's mansion. She entered the palace through the selection, but she became the emperor's woman directly. She could not enter the emperor's harem, but could be assigned to the prince's mansion or other royal relatives' mansions. The starting point was higher than that of her elder sister Shikin. Seeing that Huishu was so stubborn, Qin Yiren didn't persuade her much. The 2 little girls didn't know that there was a saying called God's will makes people. Those who wanted to enter the palace could not enter, and those who didn't want to enter the palace finally became the mistress of the palace. Second sister-in-law. Qin Yiren greeted Xiao Wang. Huishu did not come today, only Xiao Wang came to the Qin family. Xiao Wang responded to Qin Yiren with a smile, looking at Qin Yiren, praising her repeatedly in her heart. A 13 or 14-year-old girl is already quite graceful. Coupled with her originally exquisite appearance, she is really a beauty. The 2 sisters-in-law in her own house are also beauties, but they are not as good as the woman in front of her. It's a pity that Duo Xiao is not blessed and can't marry such a beauty. Why didn't you see Sister Qingni? Xiao Wang asked about Su Qingni. This is another beauty who is not inferior to Qin Yiren, but she is a little too cold and her family background is a little worse. Qin Yiren said, Sister Qingni is busy. Second sister-in-law, forgive me. Sister Qingni is teaching her brother to study, which is much more important than entertaining Xiao Wang. Xiao Wang is a tactful person, and did not ask what Su Qingni was busy with, just chatted with Qin Yiren. After chatting for a while, Xiao Wang asked Qin Yiren about attending the banquet at Chen Daren's house. The Qin family also received an invitation from the Chen family, but Qin Yiren did not plan to go. The Chen family is the wife's family of the second prince, helping the second prince to win over the court officials. The Qin family does not participate in the prince's fight for the throne, nor will they get too close to these people. Generally, the Qin family will not go if they receive such an invitation. Xiao Wang's purpose this time is to make Qin Yiren attend the Chen family's banquet, saying that old lady Jin will also attend the Chen family's banquet. As an old lady Jin's granddaughter, Qin Yiren can only listen to old lady Jin and attend the Chen family's banquet. Xiao Wang's purpose was achieved and she left happily. In the evening, the family gathered together for dinner, and Qin Yiren told the matter. The Chen family and the Jin family are united to plot against my sister. Qin Anren snorted after listening to Qin Yiren's story. His favorability towards the Jin family is negative. The second prince is one of the princes that the Jin family bet on, and it is normal for him to join forces with the Chen family to plot against others. Lord Qin's face was extremely ugly. My daughter, Qin, is not someone they can easily plot against. Yiren, you just stay at home and don't have to attend the Chen family's banquet. If old lady Jin wants to blame you, I, as a father, will bear the responsibility for you. It's better not to have such elders plotting against their own granddaughter. At most, our Qin family will break off the relationship with the Jin family. Qin Yiren was touched by Lord Qin's protection of her, but she would not let Lord Qin affect his reputation for her. No matter why the Qin family and the Jin family broke off the relationship, outsiders would blame the Qin family. Father, there is no need to be like this. Qin Yiren said softly, don't get excited when your daughter is going to the banquet. Don't worry, they can't plot against your daughter. Sister Qingni said that all conspiracies and tricks are vulnerable in the face of powerful strength. Your daughter has learned a lot of skills from Qingni over the years. Although she is not as good as her brother, she has the ability to protect herself. Lord Qin has seen the skills that Su Qingni taught the two children. He has seen his son jump to a tree several feet high and jump between branches. He has seen his son, a teenager, knock down 3 or 4 adult men. Even if his daughter is not as strong as his son, she should still be able to knock down a few maids and old women, right? Thinking of this, Lord Qin put aside half of his worries and turned to Su Qingni and said, Qingni, can you attend the Chen family's banquet with Yiren? Su Qingni nodded, yes, I will go. Lord Qin said again, have you drawn talismans recently? Can you give Yiren a few more amulets? Su Qingni smiled and said, Yiren already has a talisman. The effect of carrying a few more is not much different from that of carrying one, and... Su Qingni smiled and glanced at Qin Yiren. Uncle, Yiren is carrying a good thing she made herself. Made by herself? Good thing. Lord Qin was puzzled, what is it? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 506, The Destitute Daughter. What is it? Su Qingni smiled. Uncle, have you forgotten what Yiren first learned from me? Medical skills. Su Qingni said, medical skills include the art of making medicines. Now Yiren's level of medicine making is very high. Naturally, she carries a lot of finished products. Those finished products are not only for treating diseases. Lord Qin's eyes widened and turned to look at his daughter. Qin Yiren's face flushed with shame and whispered, Father, you, don't blame your daughter. No, no. Lord Qin said hurriedly, as long as those medicines don't hurt you. Girls really need more ways to protect themselves. What's wrong with poison? As long as they are not used on their own family and don't harm their daughter. Lord Qin's supportive attitude made Qin Yiren breathe a sigh of relief, and then she showed a happy smile. Her smile was as beautiful as a flower, and it was beautiful. Lord Qin looked at it with relief and sadness. In a blink of an eye, his daughter has grown up. In 2 years, she will be a marriageable age and can get married. I don't know which stinky boy will get the advantage in the end. A few days later, Su Qingni and Qin Yiren dressed up and went to the Jin mansion first, and gathered a group of women from the Jin family to go to the Chen family. The head of the Chen family came out in person to greet Mrs. Jin and her party. Mrs. Jin was old and had a high status, so she was asked to sit at the top. Sun and Da Wang followed her. Xiao Wang painted books and Su Qingni and Qin Yiren were received by the younger generation of the Chen family, along with a group of young ladies and young wives. Su Qingni and Qin Yiren's outstanding appearance made other girls jealous and envious, and several people said sour words. However, in this kind of occasion, they could only say sour words. They wanted to do other things but couldn't do them. There were too many eyes around them. Miss Chen's third daughter was 1 year older than Su Qingni. She was very enthusiastic about Su Qingni and Qin Yiren, or should be said to be very enthusiastic about Qin Yiren alone. However, Su Qingni saw deep malice and jealousy in her enthusiasm. Qin Yiren also saw it, and was very defensive against Miss Chen. Let's go to the lake. The lotus flowers in the lake are in full bloom. They are very beautiful. It really fits the poem. The lotus leaves are endless and green, and the lotus flowers are red in the sun. Miss Chen San smiled and suggested to the young ladies. The young ladies all agreed and got up to go to the lake. Miss Chen San followed Qin Yiren and Su Qingni, fearing that they would not follow. Qin Yiren sneered in her heart, but her smile was as gentle as the spring breeze. She took Su Qingni and walked slowly behind a group of young ladies. Su Qingni retracted her gaze to a certain place. Someone there smiled and moved her gaze to the direction of the young girls here. She wanted to see how her daughter was, but she saw a very familiar face. The person was surprised and hurriedly asked the Chen family who the owner of the face was. The Chen family gave the answer that the relative of the Qin family came from Jiangnan with the Qin family. He had no father or mother. Although he was beautiful and had a good temperament, he was definitely not the daughter-in-law candidate in the minds of the mistresses. I came from Jiangnan, and none of my relatives live in Jiangnan. That girl should have no relationship with my family, right? A group of young ladies came to the lakeside and saw the lotus swaying in the sun. The red and green flowers were extremely beautiful. The young ladies sighed, and someone immediately proposed to write poems and paint with a lotus as the theme, which won the approval of most people. The maids and old women immediately brought pens, ink, paper and inkstones, and moved tables and chairs. The young ladies separated and gathered in twos and threes to discuss whether they should write poems or paint. Miss Chen San asked Qin Yiren, "Sister Qin, are you writing poems or paintings?" Qin Yiren never thought of showing off, and said, "I only know a few words, and I won't show off if I don't want to be a blind man staring." Miss Chen San's mouth curled up, and a trace of contempt flashed in her eyes. "I'm not interested in these either. Why don't we get closer to the shore so that we can appreciate the lotus in the lake more closely?" Qin Yiren nodded in agreement and followed Miss Chen San to the lakeside. Su Qingni stood still, and Miss Chen San was not targeting her, so she did not call Su Qingni to follow. Su Qingni watched coldly, watching Miss Chen San lead Qin Yiren to the water's edge, and winked at her maid, who pretended to slip and fell forward. The maid was behind Qin Yiren, and when she moved forward, she pushed Qin Yiren's back with both hands, which was bound to push Qin Yiren into the water. But they never thought that Qin Yiren was not an ordinary rich lady. Just when Miss Chen San thought her plan had succeeded, she saw Qin Yiren suddenly flash to the side and just avoided the little maid. The little maid screamed and fell into the water, while Qin Yiren stood on the shore. Qin Yiren looked at Miss Chen San calmly and said, "Miss San, your maid fell into the water. Aren't you going to ask someone to rescue her quickly?" Miss Chen San's expression changed from astonishment to ugliness, and she shouted, asking other servants to go into the water to save people. She forced a smile and said to Qin Yiren, "This girl is too reckless. She didn't even look at the road when she walked. She deserved to fall into the water." It was Sister Qin who was frightened. "Why don't you come with me to my yard to rest for a while and calm your nerves?" Qin Yiren smiled faintly. "Nothing, I'm not surprised. No need to rest. Who knows what other traps the Chen family has arranged in Miss Chen San's yard. Just letting yourself fall into the water, this method is too simple and crude. Apart from damaging your reputation, it won't do much good to the Chen family, right?" Qin Yiren's refusal made Miss Chen San a little upset, and the whole person became a little impetuous. She thought it would be easy to deal with Qin Yiren, a woman, but who knew that Qin Yiren's luck was so good that she could avoid being pushed into the water by her maid. Now, how can she get Qin Yiren to go to her yard? It's just a maid falling into the water, it won't make any waves. If a young lady fell into the water, other rich ladies would rush over to watch the fun, but they were just maids, so they would not lower their status to pay attention. A rich lady did look over here, but her eyes were wandering around the faces of Qin Yiren and Su Qingni. This lady was called Lian Yuaya, and she was the daughter of the Jingshan Earl's mansion. She was of high status and good-looking. Although she was not as good-looking as Qin Yiren and Su Qingni, she was also the most beautiful among the ladies. Before Qin Yiren and Su Qingni appeared, Lian Yuaya was the most outstanding among the noble ladies. Now, she is still the most outstanding. Lian Yuaya's original fear of Qin Yiren and Su Qingni disappeared by more than half after she knew that the two could not write poems or paint. So what if she is good-looking? Can serving a man with beauty last long? Chapter 507, The Destitute Daughter 16. Miss Chen San's schemes against Qin Yiren were resolved one by Qin Yiren, which made Miss Chen San more and more impatient. In the end, she simply took action and violently poured the tea in her hand onto Qin Yiren. Qin Yiren did not expect Miss Chen San to be so shameless, and was surprised and did not dodge. "Oh, sorry, my hand slipped." Miss Chen San looked apologetic. Your clothes are dirty, go to my yard to change. No, I'll go home to change. Qin Yiren was extremely angry and did not want to pretend to be with Miss Chen San anymore, so she said goodbye and left. However, she underestimated the determination of the Chen family to plot against her. Qin Yiren said goodbye to the head lady of the Chen family, but the head lady and Miss Chen San played a double act, not letting Qin Yiren leave, insisting on keeping her, and insisting that Qin Yiren go to Miss Chen San's yard to change clothes. Moreover, the old lady of the Chen family also took advantage of her age to help. If Qin Yiren did not give face to this old lady in front of many noble ladies, she would definitely be known as someone who did not respect her elders and had no family education in the Qin family. For the reputation of the Qin family, Qin Yiren could only follow the design of the Chen family and go to Miss Chen San's yard. She wanted to see how the Chen family was going to design her. Miss Chen San brought Qin Yiren to her yard, asked Qin Yiren to enter a room, and asked the little maid to send Qin Yiren a set of new clothes that she had never worn, and finally left with an unwilling and jealous look. Qin Yiren sneered. As soon as she entered the house, she noticed something was wrong. The incense burning in the room had a very strong aphrodisiac effect. The calculation of the Chen family was too dirty. Her maid was sent away by the Chen family. She could not rely on others and could only rely on herself. Did the Chen family really think that she was a weak woman who was delicate and incompetent and could only be manipulated by their designs? Qin Yiren is now very grateful that her brother passed through the arrangement of the master, entered Su Qingni's secret space, and met Su Qingni. Not only did her brother save his life because of Su Qingni, but she also learned skills from Su Qingni and had the power to protect herself from being calculated by villains. Qin Yiren took out a Pingxin pill from her purse to expel negative effects and swallowed it. She jumped on the beam and hid, waiting for the Chen family's backup. After a long time, perhaps calculating that Qin Yiren should have been tricked, the door was pushed open and two people stood at the door. One was Miss Chen San, who was full of jealousy and resentment, and the other was a man in a prince's clothes. Judging from his age, he should be the second prince, the son-in-law of the Chen family. Qin Yiren understood. The Chen family designed this to make herself related to the second prince. If she lost her virginity to the second prince, no, even if she didn't lose her virginity, but just made a little rumor about having something with the second prince, she would have to marry the second prince. The second prince has already married a girl from the Chen family as his principal wife, so he is going to let her be a concubine. How could a girl from the Qin family be a concubine, even for the prince? Qin Yiren's face darkened. The Chen family actually plotted against her like this. She was going to go back and complain to her father, asking him to deal with the Chen family. Now where is the person? The second prince entered the room and found that there was no one inside. He couldn't help but calm down and asked Miss Chen San, "Where did you take her?" I brought her into this room." Miss Chen San was so shocked that she turned around and looked around, but did not find Qin Yiren's figure. "What's the matter? She clearly came in. Why is she gone? My maid was guarding outside and didn't see her come out of the room." The second prince snorted coldly, "You are not jealous and want to ruin my good thing." Miss Chen San's tears flowed all of a sudden. "I am wholeheartedly for you, how can you say that to me?" The second prince should have feelings for Miss Chen San. Seeing her crying, he hurriedly spoke to comfort her. "I remember all your kindness to me. When your sister is gone, I will marry you as my concubine. You can put a firm pressure on Qin Yiren. Then you can torture Qin Yiren however you want. Now for the overall situation, you should be patient for a while." Miss Chen San sobbed, "How come my elder sister hasn't died after being sick for so long? Are you reluctant to let her go and keep her alive with good medicine? Don't you want to marry me?" The second prince cried out, "How is it possible? How could I be reluctant to let your elder sister go when she is like that? She is my wife but can't help me at all. I wish she died earlier and let you take the throne." Miss Chen San stopped crying after hearing this. Qin Yiren listened to the conversation between the two and hated them even more. The second prince's wife is the wife of the second prince and the cousin of Miss Chen San. They actually wished that the second prince's wife would die, which shows how cold-hearted these two people are. "Don't worry, I married Qin Yiren as a concubine just to win over her father. I have no feelings for Qin Yiren." The second prince continued to comfort Miss Chen San. Miss Chen San snorted coldly and said sourly, "Qin Yiren is a little beauty. It's impossible for you not to like her. She is just a yellow-haired girl who hasn't even reached the age of marriage. How can she be as beautiful as you? Said the second prince. Miss Chen San was pleased by her words. The second prince saw Miss Chen San smiled and asked quickly, then take me to see Qin Yiren. Miss Chen San said hurriedly, I really brought Qin Yiren into this room just now. I don't know why she disappeared. The second prince looked at Miss Chen San's face and analyzed from her facial expression that Miss Chen San was not lying. His face changed suddenly. Oh no, could it be that one of my good brothers discovered our plan and took the person away? Ah. What should I do then? Miss Chen San panicked. The second prince turned around and left. I'll send someone to find him right away. As soon as his legs were sold, there was a gust of wind behind his head, and then he lost consciousness. Using the same method to knock Miss Chen San unconscious, Qin Yiren lifted the collars of the two people and threw them on the bed. Qin Yiren walked to the incense burner, opened the cover of the burner, pinched a small piece of incense from it, and then took out a medicine bottle from his purse, poured out a little powder, mixed the powder and incense together, and applied it under the noses of the second prince and Miss Chen San. After the incense and powder were mixed, the original aphrodisiac effect was amplified, becoming a very powerful Chun drug. Qin Yiren had just applied it to the two people, and the two people's bodies took effect. They were still unconscious, and they twisted their bodies and entangled with each other. Qin Yiren changed clothes as quickly as possible and left the room with her original clothes. Chapter 508, The Destitute Daughter 17. Qin Yiren used the Qingguang that Su Qingni taught her to easily avoid the servants of the Chen family, found her maid, and took her back to Su Qingni. She handed the clothes she had changed to the maid, and the maid sent the clothes to her own carriage. Clothes-fitting things must not be left in the Chen family. Qin Yiren and Su Qingni have been paying attention to the actions of the head of the Chen family and the old lady Chen. Sure enough, not long after, a maid appeared next to the head of the Chen family and said something with her head down. The wife of the Chen family showed a shocked expression very professionally, and wanted to leave the banquet. The other wives were very curious. Some wives who were not on good terms with the Chen family wanted to see the show, so they instigated other wives to follow behind the wife of the Chen family and follow to see what happened. This action aroused the curiosity of the young girl, so she followed. This made Lian Yuya, who thought that her poetry and painting would definitely win the championship, very angry. Lian Yuya stomped her feet and followed the girls to catch up. She wanted to see who ruined her good thing. Su Qingni and Qin Yiren walked slowly among a group of girls. The girls were so gorgeous that the servants of the Chen family didn't notice them at all. The Chen family intended to let more people know that Qin Yiren had a private affair with the second prince, and did not stop the onlookers at all, so a group of people followed Mrs. Chen to Miss Chen's yard. The maid took Mrs. Chen outside the house. When she heard the sounds of love coming from inside the house, Mrs. Chen smiled triumphantly, then pretended to be very angry and asked the maids to break open the door and walk into the house. The other wives followed in with the mood of watching the show. However, because of the ambiguous voice, the wives asked the maids to stop all the daughters of each family in the yard. The girls became even more curious and stretched their heads to look in the direction of the house. A girl saw Qin Yiren and asked, Miss Qin, do you know what happened in the house? Qin Yiren shook her head in confusion. How should I know? The girl said, weren't you brought to Miss Chen's yard to change clothes before? How could you not know what happened in her yard? The girl had a good relationship with Miss Chen's yard. She came to the Chen family to play with Miss Chen and knew that this yard was Miss Chen's yard. Qin Yiren said, I changed my clothes and left with a maid. I didn't even see Miss Chen's face. How could I know what happened in this yard? The other girls were disappointed to hear this, and they couldn't get anything out of Qin Yiren. Old Mrs. Chen, who was standing behind a group of ladies and in front of a group of girls, heard the conversation between Qin Yiren and the girl, turned around suddenly, and stared at Qin Yiren in horror. Qin Yiren was here, with a group of girls. Who was in the house? Old Mrs. Chen had a bad premonition. This time, Qin Yiren was not calculated. It is possible that the reputation of the Chen family will be greatly affected. This time, they might end up losing more than they gain. Just when I thought of this, I heard the daughter-in-law's scream of disbelief from inside the house. Old Mrs. Chen simply closed her eyes, fell backwards, and fainted. Old Mrs. Chen wanted to attract the attention of the ladies and girls by fainting, and divert their attention from the house. Unfortunately, she thought too well. Those noble ladies have nothing to do all day, don't they spend their time gossiping? It's rare that something interesting happens. How could they divert their attention because of an old lady fainting? Except for the maid who followed her, old Mrs. Chen's fainting did not attract the attention of anyone else. The maid next to the old lady was a deputy lady, who was more pampered than some ladies from small families. She was weak and had pitiful strength. How could the maid support the old lady when she fell down like this? The maid was injured in the waist after being knocked down by the old lady, and the back of the old lady's head hit the blue stone floor hard. The old lady is old, and if she falls like this again, I don't know if she will have a cerebral hemorrhage or a stroke. Oh, the Chen family is busy now. The poor old lady fell down, but no one noticed. The onlookers were attracted by the two people in the room. Mrs. Chen thought that the people on the bed in the room were the second prince and Qin Yiren, but the woman on the bed was facing the door. Everyone could see clearly that it was the third lady of the Chen family. Oh my! Is this the sister-in-law hooking up with her brother-in-law? Poor second prince's wife, she is in poor health. If she heard such news, would she vomit blood and die? And Miss Chen Sen, she is really shameless. Is this imitating Xiao's Hao? Fortunately, my family did not discuss marriage with Miss Chen Sen, otherwise my son-grandson would be cuckolded. Everyone despised Miss Chen Sen, but did not look down on the second prince. There is no way. Ancient society is too tolerant of men and too strict with women. The women saw enough excitement and left the Chen family with a lot of gossip, leaving the Chen family to clean up the mess. Qin Yiren and Su Qingni followed the crowd and left the Chen family. After returning to the Chen family, Qin Yiren immediately found Lord Qin and told him about the Chen family's plot against him. Lord Qin, who was very protective of his daughter, was furious and was determined to severely attack the Chen family and help his daughter to avenge. However, before Lord Qin could take action, the Chen family was already miserable enough. The news of Miss Chen San and the second prince's affair spread, and it became more and more erotic. Miss Chen San's reputation was completely ruined, and the reputations of other girls in the Chen family were also affected. Many engaged Chen girls were broken off by the men, and even those who were already married were in a worse and worse situation in their husbands' families. They were already grateful that their husbands did not divorce them and sent them home. These Chen girls hated Miss Chen San's shamelessness and asked the Chen family to severely punish Miss Chen San and send her to the temple. Of course, the Chen family did not severely punish Miss Chen San and would not send her to the family temple. The Chen family also wanted to use Miss Chen San to seek benefits for the family. They wanted to send Miss Chen San to the second prince's residence. After all, the second prince's wife's health could not support her for much longer. The Chen family must send another woman to the second prince's residence to avoid breaking the relationship with the second prince. They originally chose Miss Chen San to be the second prince's successor, but they did not expect that Miss Chen San would fall into the trap when she failed to plot against Qin Yiren. With her reputation ruined, Miss Chen San could not be the main wife, and could only enter the second prince's residence as the second prince's concubine. She was not even qualified for a high-ranking position like a concubine. However, before Miss Chen San entered the Chen residence, the second prince's wife died. She was really angry to death. Chapter 509, The Destitute Daughter. When the second prince's wife heard the rumor that her husband and his cousin had sex, she vomited blood and died. The second prince's mansion was not a monolithic entity. The news that the second prince's wife was angry to death spread out on the same day. Miss Chen's reputation became even worse, and the second prince's reputation was also affected. The emperor had long known about the Chen family's calculations from the secret line, and was very angry that the Chen family and the second prince wanted to dig his corner and calculate the daughter of his loyal subordinates. The fact that Miss Chen's matter could spread so quickly and so widely was that the emperor's people intervened. After receiving the report that the second prince's wife was angry to death, the emperor took advantage of the situation and called the head of the Chen family and the second prince into the palace to scold them, and reprimanded Miss Chen for her bad morals and improper conduct, and she was not worthy of entering the royal family. Once this was said, Miss Chen had no chance of entering the second prince's mansion. She lost her value, the Chen family gave up on her and sent her to the temple, and from then on, she would live a life of seclusion. The Chen family did not feel much better after sending away Miss Chen San. Old Mrs. Chen never woke up after the fall, and she died a month later. The officials of the Chen family had to quit their jobs and go home to mourn. They also hoped that the emperor would seize their love, but the emperor didn't want to see them at all. The Chen family's official career was interrupted, and the people in the several houses blamed each other, and it was very chaotic. It was so chaotic that Lord Qin couldn't bear to add insult to injury. The second prince's lineage was suppressed by the emperor. Fortunately, the Jin family secretly surrendered to the second prince and was not implicated. However, Lord Qin took the opportunity to write a letter to old Mrs. Jin that everyone knew well, and from then on, he would not let his two children enter the Jin family. The Jin family was in the wrong, and at the same time, they understood that Lord Qin was not so easy to calculate, so they stopped letting the women visit, and the two families broke off contact. 2 years later, Qin Yiren came of age, just in time for the emperor's selection. The emperor did not agree to Lord Qin's request to exempt his daughter from the selection. After Qin Yiren participated in the selection, she was granted marriage to one of his sons as his principal wife. Huishu also participated in the selection, but unfortunately she was not selected to enter the palace. The emperor had no good feelings towards the Jin family. He did not want the daughter of the Jin family to be his concubine, nor did he want his son to marry a woman from the Jin family. Even if it was the eldest girl of the Jin family, the emperor also wanted to wait until she was almost old enough and find a reason to send her out of the palace. After Qin Yiren got married, Su Qingni left the Qin family. After all, the Qin family no longer had a mistress. Her stay in the Qin family would affect the reputation of Lord Qin and Qin Anren. Moreover, she was old and could not go out and have fun. She would not be remembered by human traffickers on the road. She still had to find a very yin place. Not long after Su Qingni left, the people of the Lian family came to the door. They finally knew that Su Qingni was the daughter of the Lian family. The reason why she knew this was because when Aunt Chu and Lian Yui were arguing, someone overheard them and reported it to Mrs. Lian, Li. Only then did Li know that Lian Yui was not her biological daughter, and that her biological daughter had been swapped by Aunt Chu when she was born. As early as the day when the incident with Miss Chen San happened, Li saw Su Qingni and thought that Su Qingni looked very familiar. Su Qingni only looked a bit like Li, but she looked very similar to Li's mother-in-law, Sun, the wife of Jing Shenbo. Li initially thought that Su Qingni had some kind of relationship with her mother-in-law, but after asking people around her about Su Qingni's origins and knowing that she was from Jiangnan, she gave up her previous idea and just thought that people were similar. But she still remembered this girl, and after returning to the Lian family, she told Mrs. Lian about Su Qingni's story. "Mother, you don't know, when I saw that girl, I was stunned. I thought you were rejuvenated." Old Lady Lian heard that there was a girl who looked like her, and she became interested. "Is it really similar?" "How similar?" "Li, at least 70% or 80% similar." Old Lady Lian was interested and wanted to see this girl who looked like her in person. Li saw what her mother-in-law was thinking, and said flatteringly, "Why don't we invite that girl to our home so that you can see the girl in person?" Old Lady Lian nodded repeatedly, very tempted. Madame Lian said hurriedly, "Lord Qin doesn't have much friendship with our beau's mansion. If we rashly invite the daughter of his relative to our home, I'm afraid Lord Qin will not be willing. Moreover, I'm afraid some people will think too much." Old Lady Lian was a little disappointed when she heard this. Although she understood that what her eldest daughter-in-law said was right, her mood suddenly turned bad, and she was no longer in a good mood towards her eldest daughter-in-law. Li tried to please her mother-in-law and suggested, "Your birthday will come soon. Why don't we hold a good party this year and invite more people to celebrate your birthday? We can also send an invitation to the Qin family and invite all the girls from the Qin family. Then you can meet Miss Su, right?" Mrs. Lian's eyes lit up when she heard this. "You are smart and have a plan. Let's do as you say. Old lady, you can help your brother and sister-in-law with this birthday party." Mrs. Lian agreed and looked very obedient and respectful to her mother-in-law, suppressing her dissatisfaction with Li and her mother-in-law. The Qin family received an invitation from the Lian family, which said that Su Qingni must be invited to the Lian family birthday party. Qin Yiren was puzzled. "Sister Su, do you know the Lian family? Why do they insist on inviting you?" Of course she knew them, but Su Qingni would not tell Qin Yiren. She was determined not to admit her identity as a member of the Lian family, and naturally did not want others to know her background. "I don't know either. I have never had any contact with the Lian family," Su Qingni said. "It was only at the last Chen family banquet that I met Lian Yuya, the daughter of the Lian family, but I didn't talk to her." Qin Yiren suddenly thought of a possibility, and looked at Su Qingni with shining eyes. Could it be that the wife of the Lian family saw that you are beautiful and took a fancy to you, and wanted you to be their daughter-in-law? You are dreaming. Su Qingni patted Qin Yiren. I don't have any family background. That big family will not marry me as a daughter-in-law unless I am a concubine for their son. Qin Yiren was shocked. Could it be that the wife of the Lian family really wanted Sister Qingni to be a concubine for his son? Sister Qingni, we are not going to attend the birthday banquet, Qin Yiren said angrily. Su Qingni smiled. I just said it casually. The fact is not like that at all. Apart from anything else, I am nominally the niece of Lord Qin. If I am allowed to be a concubine, wouldn't that be a slap in the face of Lord Qin and an enemy of him? Even family members would not do such a stupid thing. That's right. Qin Yiren suppressed his anger and asked in confusion, then why do they insist on you going? Chapter 510, The Destitute Daughter 19. Then why do they insist on you going? I don't know. You'll know once you go. Su Qingni didn't know that she looked like the old lady in Jing Shanbo's mansion. When she was at Shen's house, she saw Li. Li didn't look like her, so Li shouldn't suspect that she was her daughter. So why did the Lian family insist on inviting her? Su Qingni couldn't figure it out. Qin Yiren couldn't figure it out either. The two of them attended the Lian family's birthday banquet with doubts. The moment they saw the birthday boy, they finally understood why the Lian family wanted Su Qingni to come to the Lian family. The Lian family was also surprised to see Su Qingni, especially some of the old people in the Lian family. They had all seen the appearance of Mrs. Lian when she was young. Su Qingni's appearance was 100% similar to Mrs. Lian's, but the temperament was different. Mrs. Lian saw such a young man who looked like her, and she liked Su Qingni and called her to her for questioning. Mrs. Lian focused on asking about Su Qingni's family background. Like Mrs. Li, she suspected that Su Qingni might be from her mother's family. Su Qingni certainly would not associate herself with Mrs. Lian's family. In the end, Mrs. Lian could only conclude that people are really similar. Mrs. Lian felt that this was her fate with Su Qingni, and wanted to take Su Qingni as her granddaughter. Su Qingni naturally refused and moved out Lord Qin. The Lian family and the Qin family did not have much friendship, and each had its own standpoint. After moving out Lord Qin, Mrs. Lian had to give up the idea of taking Su Qingni as her granddaughter. However, she felt from the bottom of her heart that this girl was very close to her and liked this girl very much. When Su Qingni said goodbye and left the Lian family, Mrs. Lian gave Su Qingni a lot of gifts. The Lian family was amazed at the resemblance between Su Qingni and Mrs. Lian, but there was a storm in one person's heart. This person was Aunt Chu. Aunt Chu lost her fertility, and because of her old age, she was not liked by Lian Ruming. Her status in the mansion plummeted. Just like Aunt Zhou in Dream of Red Mansions, she became a transparent person made of wood and clay. But this one's heart is much more lively than that of Aunt Zhou. Aunt Zhou's heart is really dead, but she is alive, while Aunt Chu's heart is not dead. She is very happy to see Li and Lian Yui's deep mother-daughter love every day. At first, Li was not careful with her daughter, but later she gave birth to 3 sons in a row, and only had this daughter. Slowly, she also cared about this daughter, began to be good to her daughter, carefully prepared a dowry for her daughter, and taught her daughter. But she didn't know that she was teaching her niece for her enemy. Aunt Chu was happy to see it, but she didn't expect that something unexpected would happen. Su Qingni actually came to the Lian family. She looked like Mrs. Lian and came from Jiangnan. Aunt Chu remembered the girl who was sent to Jiangnan by her brother. She didn't doubt that Su Qingni was the girl she stole. Now the child is back and has been noticed by the Lian family. What if the Lian family investigates the true identity of the virgin child and knows that she stole the dragon and the phoenix? If I die, I die, but my family can't die. And her own niece, whose identity was exposed, what should she do? The best way Aunt Chu could think of was to ask her parents and brothers to quickly redeem her and leave the capital, find a place to hide, and not be found by the Lian family. However, redemption requires silver, leaving requires travel expenses, settling down requires buying land and property. All of these require silver, and the amount of silver cannot be less. Otherwise, there is no way to accommodate a large family. Aunt Chu has parents, 2 brothers, 8 nephews and nieces, and 3 nephews and nieces. With so many people, the silver needed is really not less. However, after Aunt Chu fell out of favor, she only received a monthly allowance of 2 taels of silver. After deducting expenses, she did not save much money at all. As for the gold and silver she got when she was in favor, she used them all to bribe the servants of the Tongbo mansion to carry out the plan of stealing the dragon and switching the phoenix. Aunt Chu had no silver, and she had no choice but to find Lian Yuya. When Lian Yuya heard about her true identity, she was unwilling to believe it. However, the fact is like this. Even if she doesn't want to believe it, she is just the daughter of a servant of the Lian family, not the real daughter of the Lian family. If the Lian family knew her identity, she couldn't imagine what would happen to her. She must not let the Lian family know her identity. Since Aunt Chu's family wants to flee the capital, let them leave. If they leave far away, fewer people will know their true identity. Only Aunt Chu is left. She and she are grasshoppers on the same rope. She dare not tell her identity to others. She will wait for the opportunity to make Aunt Chu speechless forever. A transparent aunt who is not favored by the male master will die, and no one will care. Lian Yuya paid money for Aunt Chu's family to redeem her, and gave them a sum of silver and sent them away. Lian Yuya threatened these people that if the Lian family found out what they did, they would never let them go. They could not escape the word death, and they would be cut off from their descendants. Lian Yuya said it very seriously, in order to scare Aunt Chu's family, and these people were so scared that they ran away with the silver money. It is said that they ran to the south, which is farther from the capital than Jiangnan. Lian Yuya was relieved half of her heart, and then she focused all her thoughts on dealing with Aunt Chu and wanted to kill her. Unfortunately, Aunt Chu was a very cautious person. After she almost died after eating the wrong thing, she became more cautious. However, Aunt Chu only thought that Li was dealing with her, and never thought it was Lian Yuya. She thought Lian Yuya was her niece and her natural ally, and would not kill herself. However, because of guarding against Li, Lian Yuya never found a chance to deal with Aunt Chu. Lian Yuya wanted to get rid of Su Qingni, the real daughter. However, the Lian family had no dealings with the Qin family, and she had no chance to meet Su Qingni. How to kill Su Qingni? Bribe the Qin family's servants? Oh, how could the Qin family's servants be bribed by her? After Madame Qin's death, Lord Qin vigorously reorganized his servants. Those who stayed in the Qin family were very loyal to the master of the Qin family. Lian Yuya bribed the Qin family servants with money. The next moment, the bribed servants reported the news to Qin Yiren and Su Qingni. Su Qingni gave the servants a generous reward and sent them away. Sister Qingni, why did I, Lian Yuya, harm others? Qin Yiren was puzzled. Of course, it was because she knew her true identity, so she wanted to get rid of herself. This cannot be said to Qin Yiren. Su Qingni knew, she should be jealous that Madame Lian likes me. Just because of this. Qin Yiren looked at Lian Yuya very much. She is petty and has her low character. Chapter 511, The Destitute Daughter. Lian Yuya couldn't kill Su Qingni, so she could only continue to be the young lady of the Lian family in fear. Fortunately, Su Qingni didn't know her life experience, and the Lian family didn't suspect that their daughter had been swapped, so Lian Yuya was safe as the young lady of the Lian family. 2 years later, the Lian family chose a family for Lian Yuya, and Lian Yuya was about to get married. Lian Yuya decided to completely get rid of Aunt Chu before getting married. Aunt Chu was very cautious, but she was not on guard against this niece. Lian Yuya decided to do it herself. She personally brought tea with arsenic to Aunt Chu, and Aunt Chu took a sip. Because she drank a small amount, although the poison took effect, Aunt Chu did not die, and spit out blood to question Lian Yuya. The two quarreled, and their voices inevitably rose, and were heard by the maid guarding outside the house. Lian Yuya's maid might not reveal Lian Yuya's true identity for her own benefit, but the maids around Aunt Chu were not so loyal to Aunt Chu, and they had no vested interests. So she ran to inform Li. The affair of switching the dragon and the phoenix was thus revealed, and the Lian family knew that Lian Yuya was not of the Lian family's bloodline at all, but the daughter of a lowly servant. However, Lian Yuya had already been engaged. If her identity was revealed, would her in-laws become enemies with the Lian family? The Lian family did not want to break off the marriage with Lian Yuya's in-laws. So, after discussion, the Lian family decided not to let other people know Lian Yuya's true identity, so that she could still marry as the daughter of the Lian family. As for other people who knew Lian Yuya's identity, they had to deal with him. Aunt Chu was not poisoned to death, but was beaten to death by the Lian family on a random charge. Aunt Chu's maids and Lian Yuya's maids also disappeared. Lian Yuya got married as a young lady of the Lian family as she wished. Although the Lian family was disgusted with her bloodline, they had to support her for the benefit of the family. The Lian family asked someone to check Su Qingni's true identity, but after letting Su Qingni live in the Qin family as a cousin, Lord Qin helped Su Qingni to clean up the mess, so that no one would know that Su Qingni was originally a maid who sold herself to the Qin family. Therefore, the Lian family did not find anything. But according to Aunt Shu and Lian Yuya, they determined that Su Qingni was their daughter. After all, Su Qingni looked like old Lady Lian. Su Qingni was beautiful and was well taught by the Qin family. She was no worse than the young ladies in the capital. The Lian family was very willing to recognize this daughter. Of course, if Su Qingni was still a rude village girl in the village, they would definitely not recognize her back. However, the Lian family did not recognize Su Qingni as the real daughter of the Lian family. If they were recognized Su Qingni as the daughter of the Lian family, what should Lian Yuya do? Would the Lian family's affairs more than 10 years ago be exposed? Although it was a matter of the inner courtyard, it was also a family scandal, which still had some impact on the man. After all, the lax management of the family could not be escaped. Therefore, the Lian family wanted to take away the name of Su Qingni as a granddaughter and let her return to the Lian family because Su Qingni looked like Mrs. Lian. They thought well, thinking that Su Qingni would be very happy to recognize her ancestors with such a prominent family. However, Su Qingni never thought about returning to the Lian family. In response to what the Lian family said about her identity, she only replied lightly that the Lian family had found the wrong person, and then simply left the capital. The Qin family father and son guessed that what the Lian family said was true, but Su Qingni was unwilling to acknowledge the Lian family. They respected Su Qingni and sent her away reluctantly. After Su Qingni left, the Lian family had no choice. It was a pity that the men lost a marriage partner, and Li forgot about Su Qingni after crying. She had not been with Su Qingni for more than a day and had no feelings for Su Qingni. Although she hated Lian Yuya now, she could not have any feelings for her biological daughter. In the whole Lian family, only Mrs. Lian would occasionally mention Su Qingni. After all, this grandson looked too much like her. She felt that this was the fate between her and her granddaughter. Su Qingni began to travel everywhere. She went from south to north, and then from east to west. She went to many places. In the 4th year, Su Qingni found the extremely yin place and buried the netherstone. Su Qingni returned to Jiangnan and visited the village where she grew up. The family lived a decent life. The daughter had already married, and the son went to school for 2 years. He was not a good student, so he found a job in the city. The parents and son of the family could no longer remember Su Qingni, but the daughter still missed Su Qingni. Su Qingni met with her daughter, left her 10 taels of silver and left. It's not that I don't want to give more, but for these ordinary farmers, it's not good to give too much money. It's best to give a small amount of silver and let the daughter hide it in her hands and take out a little to use when something happens at home. Su Qingni returned to the capital again, and Qin Anren had already married. He took the imperial examination at the age of 15, and won the first place at the age of 18. He was a famous talent in the capital, and the dream of the golden son-in-law of the boudoir women in the capital. Lord Qin married Qin Anren to the daughter of the dean of a college. The daughter-in-law was in good health. She gave birth to a precious grandson for Lord Qin within a few days of entering the Qin family. After that, he had 2 and 3 years, 3 and 5 years, and now he has 3 grandsons and 1 granddaughter. Lord Qin was very happy. The fate of the Qin family's single-line inheritance was broken. In the future, the Qin family will also have a prosperous and full house. Even if he died, he could hold his head high and meet his ancestors in the underground. Lord Qin had withdrawn from the court, and Qin Anren, as the brother-in-law of the new emperor, developed very well in the court. Qin Yiren's husband inherited the throne, and Qin Yiren became the queen and gave birth to a son and a daughter for the emperor. The son is the eldest son and is most qualified to be the prince. The emperor originally wanted this son to be the crown prince, but recently his mind has changed. A woman who looks like Qin Yiren and is as beautiful as a little white flower entered the palace. The most special thing is that this woman has a famous instrument, which the emperor can't leave after visiting her once. This woman became the emperor's true love. The emperor went to this woman's palace every night. The other women in the palace became decorations. Even on the 1st and 15th of every month, the emperor had to go to the queen's palace, but he only went to Qin Yiren symbolically and then went to the palace of his true love. The position of true love jumped 3 levels. In just 1 year, she went from a 6th-rank noble lady to a 1st-rank noble concubine. The speed of promotion made other women in the palace angry. The ministers in the court were dissatisfied with this true love. This woman had been labeled as a demon concubine. The imperial censor wrote a memorial to the emperor to banish the demon concubine to the cold palace, but the result was that the imperial censor was dismissed by the emperor. Chapter 512, The Destitute Daughter. The emperor's behavior made the ministers hate the emperor's true love even more, but the emperor protected true love with all his strength, and they could not do anything about true love for a while. The emperor had true love and wanted to give all the good things to true love. The position of queen could not be given to true love for the time being. Qin Yiren was a good queen, and he could not abolish Qin Yiren casually. The emperor could only find an opportunity. However, true love was very considerate of the emperor. She only said that she would not be the queen, but just hoped that the emperor could treat her child better. She was afraid that the emperor would really want to be the queen herself, and the ministers would unite to let the emperor kill her, so she could only settle for the second best. Therefore, the emperor came up with the idea of letting the son born by true love be the prince, although true love is not pregnant yet, and there is no shadow of the child. When Su Qingni entered the palace, she happened to hear the conversation between the emperor and true love. "Should I call you the queen, or your name?" Su Qingni appeared in front of Qin Yiren and asked with a smile. Qin Yiren was very surprised. "Sister Qingni, you are finally back." Qin Yiren walked up happily and hugged Su Qingni. Su Qingni hugged Qin Yiren back. The little girl had grown up and got rid of the image of Lin Daiyu. Now she looked more like Wang Zifan. There were palace maids serving in the bedroom. One of them was the personal maid that Qin Yiren had brought with her when she first came to the Qin family. The maid recognized Su Qingni and stopped the other frightened palace maids. She led them out of the bedroom and left the space for Su Qingni and Qin Yiren. Su Qingni patted Qin Yiren on the back and asked her to let her go. Qin Yiren's excitement had calmed down. She let go of her hand, took 2 steps back, and invited Su Qingni to sit down. After the maid left, she came in again and prepared tea for the two. Qin Yiren looked at Su Qingni's face, which had not changed much, and sighed. "Sister is still as charming as ever. I wonder where have you been all these years?" "I've been to many places. I went to Jiangnan, the desert, and the seaside," Su Qingni said. Qin Yiren was envious. "It's a pity that I am restricted by my status and cannot go to those places like my sister. The desert, the sea, are really fascinating." Su Qingni said, "I drew a picture, you can see it from the picture." Qin Yiren said, "But it's still not as good as seeing the real scene with your own eyes." Su Qingni, "When you have the chance, you can go and see it." Qin Yiren shook her head and sighed, "With my status, the chance is very slim." Su Qingni looked at Qin Yiren sympathetically. "You are too depressed as a queen. Not only do you have no freedom, but the emperor also has true love. The two of them are also planning to take away your son's position as crown prince. Maybe they will take away your position as queen in the future." Qin Yiren's face turned ugly and said, "Sister, have you heard about concubine Yun as well?" Su Qingni said, "I not only heard about concubine Yun from other people, but also heard about the conspiracy between concubine Yun and the emperor. The emperor promised concubine Yun that when concubine Yun's son is born, he will make concubine Yun's son the crown prince." Qin Yiren's face became even uglier. No wonder he finds fault with Zuiner now. It turns out that he is paving the way for his good son who has not yet been born. Qin Yiren was extremely angry. She poured out all her suffering and resentment to Su Qingni, the woman she regarded as her own sister. It is really not easy to be a royal daughter-in-law. Although she is the prince's wife and later the queen, her life is not easy. Especially the women in the backyard are not good. They are all calculating, and even many people calculate her. If she had not been proficient in medicine and had some skills, she would not have been able to give birth to sons and daughters smoothly. She would have been calculated to have a miscarriage, and she might even lose her fertility. Finally, her son is smart and the emperor is optimistic about this son. Her son is about to become the prince. In the future, she can become the queen mother, and her life will be smoother. As a result, the emperor has another true love, who not only threatens her position, but also covets the things that belong to her son. Qin Yiren was so angry that she wanted to kill the emperor's true love. "If you want to kill that woman, it's easy." Su Qingni stared at Qin Yiren and said, "You are worried about the emperor. Do you have feelings for the emperor?" "Feelings? How could there be no feelings? Although there is no love, they have been married for 10 years. How could there be no feelings at all? However, the reason why she did not kill concubine Yun was not because she had feelings for the emperor, but because she felt it was unnecessary. Concubine Yun had lost her fertility. No matter how well she thought, she could not give birth to her son who could become the crown prince. The emperor doted on concubine Yun and protected her very well, but don't underestimate the means of the women in the harem. The more the emperor valued concubine Yun, the more the women in the harem hated her, and used all kinds of means on her. Even if the emperor's people helped concubine Yun block most of the women's means, there were still one or two that could not be blocked. Concubine Yun took sterilization medicine and she would never have children in her life. Qin Yiren smiled coldly and said, "I won't do anything, I'll just watch the show." Concubine Yun is the target of public criticism. I don't believe the emperor can protect her forever. Su Qingni shook her head and sighed at Qin Yiren. Those who are good at swimming will drown, and those who are good at riding will fall. Yiren, you just thought you were watching a show, but you didn't know that you have been dragged into the show. You have excellent medical skills, but you haven't carefully checked your own pulse. Qin Yiren was shocked. What did Su Qingni mean by this? Qin Yiren immediately pressed the fingers of his right hand on the pulse gate of his left wrist and concentrated on diagnosing his pulse. After a while, Qin Yiren's face became darker and darker. "I'm poisoned," Qin Yiren said in surprise but certainty. "This poison is very strange and hidden. If it weren't for Sister Qingni reminding me, I wouldn't have found it. It should be a secret medicine of the palace, exclusive to the royal family," Su Qingni said. Qin Yiren hurried to the dressing table, opened a box, took out a jade bottle from it, and put a pill into her mouth. After a while, Qin Yiren felt her pulse again. Fortunately, the antidote I made is still effective. Su Qingni saw that Qin Yiren could detoxify herself, so she didn't help. Qin Yiren's face was covered with a layer of frost. "I didn't expect that the people around me were bribed." Su Qingni chuckled. "After all, the other party is the emperor. Compared with him, you, the queen, are still a little bit inferior." Qin Yiren's eyes were cold and murderous. "Since he doesn't care about the relationship between husband and wife, let's break up. I don't want to be the queen anymore. It's better to be the queen mother." Su Qingni smiled. "Yes, as my sister, you should be able to let go and make decisions immediately." Qin Yiren said to Su Qingni, "Sister, you stay in the capital for a while and see how your sister ascends to the position of queen mother. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 513, The Destitute Daughter. Since Qin Yiren had made up her mind, she acted vigorously. A few days later, the emperor passed away, and his death was very disgraceful. The emperor died of concubine Yun, and the cause of death was a stroke. Haha, concubine Yun's reputation as a demon concubine was completely confirmed. Without the emperor to protect her, concubine Yun was executed and could not enter the imperial mausoleum after her death. The 8-year-old eldest prince ascended the throne, and Qin Yiren became the Empress Dowager. The child was still young and could not rule the country, so the Empress Dowager ruled the country from behind the curtain. The ministers originally looked down on Qin Yiren, thinking that a woman in the harem had no vision. As a result, Qin Yiren showed them what it meant to turn the clouds and rain with a flip of the hand, and her means of handling state affairs were much more sophisticated than the previous emperor. Many ministers changed from their original contempt to respect. Qin Yiren ruled the country from behind the curtain for 8 years, and the little emperor was 16 years old. Although the ministers respected Qin Yiren, they still felt uncomfortable being told what to do by a woman, and wanted the little emperor to take power earlier. They were worried that Qin Yiren would not give up power. As a result, after the young emperor's 16th birthday, Qin Yiren handed over power to the young emperor very straightforwardly and returned to the palace to enjoy life. After not staying in the palace for long, the Empress Dowager abandoned everything in the palace and traveled around the world with only the loyal servants who had served her for more than 30 years. The ministers gave a thumbs up. The Empress Dowager is really a wonderful woman. The young emperor was in tears. "My mother doesn't want me anymore." 5 years after the Empress Dowager left, Qin Anren, who had already become the prime minister, also resigned. At this time, his eldest son also passed the imperial examination and became the top scholar. Qin Anren passed the position of the head of the Qin family to his eldest son, packed up his clothes, and traveled around the world. Everyone, the Qin family siblings are not greedy for power, they are indeed gentlemen who are indifferent to fame and fortune. Because of the behavior of the two siblings, the Qin family has a very good reputation, and the world is full of praise. The young emperor also felt that his cousins were in the same boat as himself because of Qin Anren's retreat. He took great care of the Qin family and did not feel any fear, nor did he suppress his outside family like the previous emperors. The relationship between the royal family and the Qin family continued to be very harmonious. Qin Anren caught up with his sister and Su Qingni, who could be regarded as his master, at the beach. The two were eating seafood at the beach and found a group of craftsmen to build a sea ship that could sail according to their design drawings. Qin Anren was excited. He heard from Su Qingni that there was another continent completely different from the David dynasty on the other side of the sea. He had long wanted to go there to see it. Qin Anren joined the work of making the sea ship. It took a year for the sea ship to be finally built. The three people boarded the sea ship. The journey was not peaceful. In the sea, all kinds of accidents could happen, but the three people were well prepared and easily resolved various accidents and dangers. Su Qingni bought a large amount of mung beans, soybeans and red beans, which were used to grow bean sprouts on the ship so that the people on the ship would not lack vitamins. She and the Qin brothers and sisters developed a simple equipment for extracting pure water. Although the efficiency of converting seawater into pure water is very low, at least they will not encounter the problem of having no clean water to drink. As for the uncontrollable danger of encountering a storm at sea, the talisman drawn by Su Qingni helped the ship to survive the storm safely. In fact, even without Su Qingni's talisman, the hardness and various indicators of the ship they made, even if it was damaged in the storm, it would not sink like the Titanic after being hit, and it would be able to survive the storm. At that time, the hull can be repaired and it can continue to sail. In this way, the ship passed through many countries and islands without danger, and it took more than half a year to arrive in the New World. The New World has not been discovered by Western adventurers. The natives here have not suffered persecution from Western robbers and are very friendly to outsiders. Su Qingni and the Qin brothers and sisters exchanged the things they brought with the natives in exchange for seeds of high-yield crops, such as potatoes and corn. Su Qingni asked Qin Anren to teach the natives how to use farm tools to cultivate, teach them the language and culture of the David dynasty, and teach them some basic skills of the people of the David dynasty. The natives were very grateful to these outsiders, and they all wanted to become David people. The group lived in the New World for 5 years. When they left, the natives didn't want them to leave. Su Qingni told the natives that they would bring more people from the David dynasty to this continent, live with the natives, and let the natives become a member of the David dynasty. The natives were very happy. They didn't have the idea of the David dynasty occupying their land. They had few people and the continent was so vast that even if there were 10 times more David people than them, it would not harm their interests. They liked the excitement and welcomed the arrival of the David dynasty. After his mother and uncle went out to sea, the emperor finally heard the news of his mother and uncle again. They are finally back. When the emperor heard that his mother and uncle went out to sea, he was worried about him and sent a fleet to find them back. Unfortunately, their ships could not compare with the large ships made by the Queen Mother and Uncle. The speed was not at the same level, so they lost the Queen Mother and Uncle's ships. In recent years, the emperor asked the craftsmen to continue to build several large ships designed and built by the Queen Mother and Uncle, and sent people to sea on such ships to find the mother and uncle. However, the mother and uncle were not found, but many overseas countries were discovered. The David dynasty established diplomatic relations with those overseas countries, and traded with each other. The David dynasty exchanged the gold and spices of those countries with cheap goods, and they could make a lot of money by shipping them back. In recent years, the national treasury and the emperor's private treasury were full, so the emperor opened another private treasury. The best thing is that there is a lot of food in those countries. The climate there can grow 2 or 3 crops of food a year, and the amount of food should not be too much. The emperor exchanged tea, porcelain and silk for a large amount of food reserves, so if there is a natural disaster or famine in the country in the future, there will be food to deal with. The emperor and his people lived comfortably. The only thing he was worried about was his mother and uncle, who had no news since they went out to sea. He was worried that his mother and uncle disappeared in the sea and would never come back. Now, He finally heard news about them again. The emperor was so happy that he ran to the port to pick up his mother and uncle in person. His trip was not in vain. His mother and uncle brought him back a huge surprise: high-yield grain that could produce 700 to 800 kilograms per mu, and a vast land without a country, just waiting for him to send people to occupy that land. Which emperor didn't have the ambition to expand his territory? The emperor felt his blood boiling. Chapter 514, The Destitute Daughter. The emperor promoted high-yield grains to every place in David dynasty, and the people planted high-yield grains and would no longer go hungry. They were grateful to the emperor, Qin Yiren and Qin Anren, and worshipped the tablets of the three people in their homes, praying for their longevity. The three people are now the Buddhas of thousands of families. Except for a limited number of people, no one knows that Su Qingni is the master of everything. The emperor admired and was curious about this ant, especially after knowing that his mother and uncle learned the skills from this ant. In the years when his mother became the Empress Dowager, she no longer concealed her skills and taught him some skills, such as martial arts and light skills. With these two skills, he won a very thrilling assassination. At the beginning, he was very confused about where his mother learned these powerful skills. It turned out that his aunt taught her. The emperor pulled his eldest son to Su Qingni, hoping that Su Qingni could teach his son skills. Su Qingni smiled and refused, pulling Qin Anren out as a shield. The emperor finally knew that his uncle was not only talented in literature and was capable of being an official, but also a master of both civil and military affairs, and knew many things. It was a pity that he should not have let his uncle resign so early. Finally, Qin Anren promised to take the little prince with him to teach, but he would not stay in the capital, and would go to the New World again, so he asked the emperor if he was willing to let his son run around with him. The emperor said that he was willing to give up, and he must be willing to give up. How could he not be willing to learn all the skills of his uncle? So, 2 years later, Qin Anren took the little prince to sea. They were going to the New World again. This time, there was more than one ship. The emperor asked craftsmen from all over the country to work together and made more than 30 sea ships. Each ship can accommodate 500 or 600 people. This time, Qin Anren will take 20,000 people to the New World. Among the 20,000 people, 5,000 are soldiers, and the remaining 15,000 are ordinary people who were forced to immigrate to the New World. These people were not forced to go by the court. They responded to the court's call to immigrate because they could not survive in their hometowns for their own reasons. The court said that people who immigrate to the New World will enjoy all the welfare benefits provided by the court, and their basic living will be guaranteed. This gave those who could not survive a glimmer of hope, and they decided to grasp this glimmer of hope. Qin Yiren and Qin Anren stood at the bow, looking at the distance of the port, waiting for someone to arrive. Why hasn't Sister Qingni come yet? Qin Anren was worried that Su Qingni would not be able to make it before the fleet set off. This fleet's departure was a major event for the entire David dynasty, and everyone in the David dynasty was watching. The departure time was set by the Imperial Observatory, and it would not be delayed because of waiting for one person. Sister Qingni will definitely catch up, Qin Yiren said confidently. Qin Anren snorted, that Lianli is so shameless. She has never raised Sister Qingni for a day, but she still insists on asking Sister Qingni to see her. I wonder if she will be greedy and ask Sister Qingni to do anything for the Lian family. Qin Yiren smiled with a hint of coldness. Sister Qingni is just avenging Lianli's birth. She has no feelings for the Lian family and will not help the Lian family. The Lian family stood on the wrong side in the prince's fight for the throne. The family was hit and has fallen from a first-class noble family to a third-rate family. The Lian family wanted to restore its glory and has been scheming everywhere over the years, but it was a pity that it was useless. There was really no other way, so Lianli thought of Su Qingni. Su Qingni had a good relationship with the Qin siblings. The Qin siblings were one queen mother and one retired prime minister. Su Qingni must have a very good relationship with the emperor. If Su Qingni could say a few good words for the Lian family in front of the emperor, the Lian family would be able to recover. Lianli relied on her status as Su Qingni's biological mother to have someone tell Su Qingni that she must go see her, otherwise she would spread the word that Su Qingni was unfilial. Su Qingni didn't care about it, but her body did come out of Lianli's belly, and there was a cause and effect between her and Lianli. Although this cause and effect had been almost severed because of Lianli's actions, only a thread was left, so she didn't have to worry about it. Su Qingni went to the Lian family to meet Lianli, and sure enough, Lian made a huge request and put forward a series of demands, which made Su Qingni laugh. Su Qingni fed Lian a pill, which restored her health and increased her lifespan by 10 years, thus ending the cause and effect between her and Lian. If you want to say that I am unfilial, just say it. See if people outside believe you. Su Qingni said coldly, the emperor respects my cousin aunt very much. You are ruining my reputation outside. But have you ever thought about how the emperor will look at you? Will he punish your family to vent my anger? You. Lian pointed at Su Qingni, and was so angry that she couldn't speak. Su Qingni sneered and threw a silver note of 100,000 taels to the current head of the Lian family, the younger brother of this body, and used the 100,000 taels to buy out the blood relationship with the Lian family. At the moment before the fleet set off, Su Qingni finally arrived at the port, and Qin Yiren and Qin Anren were relieved. Sister Qingni, you haven't been calculated by the Lian family, right? Qin Yiren asked with concern. Su Qingni asked back, do you think I will be calculated by others? Qin Yiren smiled. She was too concerned and forgot Sister Qingni's ability. She was Sister Qingni's student. She had never been plotted against in the palace for so many years, let alone Sister Qingni. After going to the New World this time, I will never come back. Even my family can't find me. Su Qingni said her plan. The Qin siblings were surprised but not surprised. If they didn't have children and grandchildren in David dynasty, they would have been wandering around like Sister Qingni. There is no need to bury your bones in your hometown, there are green mountains everywhere in the world. The Qin siblings stayed in the New World for 10 years this time. 10 years later, they returned to David dynasty with the eldest prince, who had grown up and learned a lot of skills. They were old and could no longer run around, so they settled down in the capital. After the eldest prince came back, he studied with the emperor for 2 years. 2 years later, the emperor passed the throne to the eldest prince and ran to the New World to see with his own eyes the place his mother, uncle and son had mentioned. The New World became the territory of the David dynasty. The people of the David dynasty, a country of etiquette, would not massacre and oppress the natives like the Western robbers. They accepted and integrated the natives with gentle means, making the natives willing to become part of the David dynasty. The civilization brought by the David dynasty promoted the development of the indigenous civilization and the social progress of the New World. When the Western adventurers came to the New World, it was already a very prosperous country. The Western adventurers could not occupy and divide this continent on the grounds of discovering an unknown continent. Chapter 515, The Poison Girl. Su Qingni escaped from the Sea of Fire, and her body was already covered with the burns. In this world, she could not open the storage bag and take out the medicine for the wound. Fortunately, she was in the mountains, and there were medicinal herbs in the mountains. Su Qingni found several medicines for treating external injuries, applied them to herself first, and found some herbs for clearing heat, chewed and swallowed them directly into her stomach. These medicinal herbs are not very effective, but at least they are still a little useful, and her life is saved. Standing halfway up the mountain and looking at the foot of the mountain, there was a fire there, which was where Su Qingni escaped. That was the village where the original owner had lived since childhood, but it was burned down, and the people living in it were killed by those evil people. In the whole village, only the original owner hid and was not killed by those people. But those people wanted the village to disappear from this world completely, killing people and setting fire to the village. The original owner was young and did not run out of the fire, so he died. There was no one alive in the whole village, which shows how cruel those murderers and arsonists were. From the original owner's memory, the people in the mountain village are simple mountain people, and they will not provoke those vicious people at all. It is unknown why these people run to such a remote mountain to kill and set fire. Su Qingni put aside her doubts first. The most important thing now is to find herbs to treat herself. The herbs she just found can only barely save her life. If she wants to be cured completely, she needs a lot of herbs. Su Qingni couldn't help but cough violently. Before the original body died, she inhaled a lot of thick smoke, which hurt her lungs and the entire respiratory tract. Now the most important thing is to clean up the lungs and respiratory tract, and treat the burns on her body to prevent the injuries from worsening. Su Qingni sighed. The original body was severely burned, and this world could not use extraordinary means, only ordinary medical skills. In this way, there will inevitably be scars on her body, and her face was burned nearly half. Going out with such a face will definitely scare children and flowers and plants. Su Qingni turned and went into the woods to look for herbs to treat herself. It took her several days to find the herbs that could cure her. Without tools to cook the medicine, Su Qingni chewed and swallowed it. The injuries to her lungs and respiratory tract healed a little, and the external injuries no longer worsened. Su Qingni began to practice bodybuilding techniques and an internal skill that combines health and power, the secret of immortality. The secret of immortality was really created by Guang Chengzi. After reading the novel The Legend of the Two Dragons of the Tang Dynasty, he created the secret of immortality according to the description in the novel. Who said that the novel said that he created the secret of immortality? If he didn't really create one, wouldn't it be unfair to the author? The secret of immortality created by Guang Chengzi is divided into two parts. One part is naturally martial arts, and the other part is immortal cultivation. After the martial arts part is cultivated to the extreme, the void is broken, which is to enter the Tao through martial arts, which is equivalent to the foundation building level of cultivation. After that, you can cultivate immortals and continue to practice the immortal cultivation part. This method can only be cultivated to the extreme to become a human immortal. The realms above the immortals are divided into human immortals, earth immortals, heavenly immortals, true immortals, mysterious immortals, golden immortals, Taiyi golden immortals, Daloro golden immortals, quasi-sages, and saints. Human immortals are the lowest level. Most of the people in the earth immortal world and the witch and demon world of the prehistoric continent are quite powerful and do not take the eternal life secret seriously. It is only because of the novels and TV shows that people will watch the eternal life secret more. Su Qingni is different from those who are born as gods, immortals, demons, and witches. More than 20 years of life on earth have made her very interested in things related to the earth, and she has a collecting habit. After Guang Chengzi created the eternal life secret, Su Qingni asked him for it. The eternal life secret is worthy of being created by the Taoist golden immortal Guang Chengzi. It is very effective in healthcare. Su Qingni circulated the eternal life secret for a cycle, and her lungs and respiratory tract got much better. Su Qingni worked hard to practice the eternal life secret, and gradually she stopped coughing violently. Although she still coughed a few times every once in a while, it was much better than the first few days. The fire at the foot of the mountain has been extinguished. Although the village is in the mountains, the people in the village thought that if the fire caused the entire forest to be on fire, no one would be able to escape. Therefore, the people in the village dug a canal outside the village to prevent the fire from spreading. Su Qingni dragged her injured body back to the village. The village was full of charred corpses, and Su Qingni could not refute which of these corpses belonged to the original owner memory. Su Qingni dug many pits and buried all the corpses. Only a stone was erected in front of all the graves, and the name of the village and everyone in the village was engraved on it. After burying the corpse, Su Qingni walked around the village again. I wanted to see if there were any secret rooms or secrets in the village. Maybe those who killed and set fire came for those hide-and-seek games. Unexpectedly, there was really a secret room in the village, just under the original sacrificial platform. The sacrificial platform had been completely burned, revealing a large stone slab. Su Qingni moved the stone slab away, revealing a large black hole. Su Qingni lit a torch and jumped into the secret room. There was a stone statue in the secret room, which was the statue of the god worshipped by the people in the village. In the center of the village, there was also a similar stone statue, but it was more than 5 times larger than the one in the secret room. However, this stone statue had been destroyed and was smashed into pieces by those evil people. There was a box on the platform below the stone statue, which was also made of stone, and there was nothing else. Su Qingni walked to the platform, carefully picked up the box, and looked it over from left to right. She couldn't see anything, and she couldn't see any danger. Su Qingni tried to open the lid of the box. Unfortunately, it didn't open. The box was tightly closed, and even if Su Qingni used the internal strength she had cultivated these days, she couldn't open the lid of the box. Su Qingni. Staring at the stone box for a while, Su Qingni suddenly had an idea in her mind. This idea did not come from her, but from the memory of the original owner. Su Qingni bit her left index finger and let the blood drip onto the stone box. Just like the magic weapon in the fantasy novel, the stone box actually absorbed Su Qingni's blood. With a click, the box opened by itself. After opening the lid of the box, I found 2 pea-sized objects inside. They seemed to be insect eggs. Under these 2 objects, there was a piece of parchment. Su Qingni reached out and took out the parchment and opened it. There were no Chinese characters on the paper, but the unique characters of a certain ethnic minority. However, the original owner had this kind of characters in his memory, so Su Qingni could understand the content on it. Chapter 516, The Poison Girl 2. The parchment records the inheritance of Gushu. What is Gushu? It is the most mysterious witchcraft handed down by ethnic minorities. It is a witchcraft performed with insects as the medium. As a girl, Su Qingni is not afraid of or hate insects, but she can't like them either, so she has never learned much about this technique. Now after reading the inheritance on the parchment, Su Qingni has become slightly interested in Gushu. What's more, Gushu was preserved by the village of the original body. Su Qingni is the only one in the village. She has the obligation to help the original body pass on this Gushu so that it will not be cut off. The inheritance on the parchment is not complete, but the main thread is there. With Su Qingni's ability, it will take some time to deduce and complete the inheritance. I think it is also because this inheritance is incomplete that there are very few people practicing Gushu in the village, so that most people in the village don't know the existence of Gushu. The two insect eggs are a pair of love goo. As the name suggests, love goo is used between lovers. Of course, it is not like what is written in some novels, where one of them is poisoned, and that person saves the one who falls in love with a mother poison. According to the inheritance records, the love poison is made by Miao women to ensure that their lovers do not betray themselves. If a man who is poisoned by the love poison changes his heart and betrays the Miao woman, the man will be eaten by the poisonous insect and die. If one party dies, the other party cannot live alone. After 7 days, the other party of the love poison will also die. Miao women are fierce and are the most sincere in their feelings. If they cannot love each other, they will die together. There were originally several pairs of love poisons in the mountain village, but now there is only this pair left. Su Qingni suddenly remembered Sister Yinling who left 2 years ago in the original owner memory. This Sister Yinling is the daughter of the village owner. Has she practiced poison? Has she used love poison? In the memory, Sister Yinling said that she wanted to find the best and most beautiful person to be her husband. She is beautiful, so naturally the best man can be worthy of her. Sister Yinling didn't like any man in the mountain village. She wanted to look for it outside the mountain, but the village chief disagreed. The father and daughter had a big quarrel. 2 days later, Sister Yinling left the village at night and never came back. Su Qingni pinched her chin and guessed, could the group of people who came to the village to kill people be related to Sister Yinling? Su Qingni wrote down all the contents on the parchment, put it back in the stone box, and then put the 2 insect eggs in it. She would not use this love goo. Close the stone lid. Su Qingni found that the lid could not be opened again unless she bled again. It was a magical anti-theft method, which was opened entirely by blood. Putting the box back on the table, Su Qingni left the secret room, covered the secret room with stone slabs, sprinkled oil on it, and covered it so that people would not easily find this secret room. Back on the ground, Su Qingni rested for a while and practiced the eternal life secret again. Her body was still too weak now, and she couldn't bear it after doing a little bit. After practicing the eternal life secret for 36 weeks, Su Qingni opened her eyes. I was hungry and had to eat. Because of her health, she couldn't eat many things. In the past few days, in addition to swallowing herbs, Su Qingni ate some fresh fruits. But eating fruits all the time is not a good thing. Su Qingni wanted to eat something hot. Fortunately, although the village was burned down, the crops planted in the fields outside the village were not burned. It was already the harvest season, but unfortunately no one harvested them, and they had become a treasure land for birds to eat. Su Qingni walked to the field, pulled out some rice ears, turned them upside down, and pounded the rice with a stone mortar she found. After pounding it out, she used a pottery pot to cook a pot of porridge. Some high-temperature resistant utensils in the mountain village were not burned, and Su Qingni collected them all. After the porridge was ready, Su Qingni served a bowl of porridge, and finally she could eat hot food. After dinner, Su Qingni began to practice again, and she practiced all night. The next day, Su Qingni used the hatchet she found to cut trees and build a house. The houses in the village are all wooden stilt houses, which have all been damaged in the fire. Su Qingni will live in this deep mountain for a long time, so she must build a house that can be lived in. Su Qingni built a stilt house. In the mountains, stilt houses are the most suitable. They are suspended from the ground for ventilation and dryness, and can prevent poisonous snakes and wild beasts. Miscellaneous items can be placed under the floor. It took Su Qingni a month to build the simplest stilt house. At night, Su Qingni can finally sleep peacefully. The external injuries on her body have healed, but unfortunately the burns left scars, which were bumpy and look very scary. Her face also looked like a demon because of these scars. Due to geographical restrictions, the types of medicinal materials are also limited. It is impossible for Su Qingni to prepare an ointment that completely eliminates scars. A good cook cannot cook without rice. Fortunately, she is not a person who cares about her appearance, and there is no one else in the mountains. Su Qingni used only the herbs that could be collected in the mountains to prepare a scar removal cream for herself. It could not completely remove the scars, but it could slightly reduce the scars so that the scars would not be too scary. The internal strength had already made some progress. Su Qingni reduced the time she spent practicing internal strength and began to study Gushu in the free time. According to the records on the parchment, she spent half a year to deduce the entire inheritance and then began to practice. Well, in fact, after seeing those insects for a long time, some of them look quite cute. Especially some of the goo insects that I made myself, they don't look scary at all, and some of them even look very beautiful. For example, the golden silkworm goo, which is golden and chubby, looks very good. Su Qingni went around the mountain, shot a pheasant back, picked some mushrooms, and stewed mushrooms with pheasants. The pottery pot was placed on the fire, and Su Qingni returned to the mountain. Just now, she saw a wild ginseng, but it was not easy to dig without the right tools. After returning home with tools, Su Qingni returned to dig ginseng. Digging ginseng is a delicate job, and you need to be extremely careful. Otherwise, if you dig out a ginseng whisker, it will affect the medicinal effect of the ginseng. This ginseng is more than 80 years old. Once it is processed, it can be sold at a high price when it is taken out of the mountain. She can't stay in the mountains forever. She has to go out of the mountains to find her original enemies and help the people in the village to take revenge. The most important thing is that she has to find a very yin place. She happily returned to the village with a bamboo basket on her back, but found that there was an extra person under her stilt house. Surprising. Who is this person who actually ran into the depths of the mountains? Chapter 517, The Third Poison Girl. He should not be the enemy of the village. Su Qingni stood behind the big tree and looked at the man. He was still a half-grown child, about 13 or 14 years old, not from Miaojiang, but dressed as a Han Chinese. The material of his clothes looked very good. He was not poor, but now his clothes were torn and dirty. The boy must be hungry. He swallowed his saliva and stared at the pottery jar eagerly. Because he was the only one in the mountain, Su Qingni put things casually, and there were bowls and chopsticks next to the pottery jar. The boy could have used the bowls and chopsticks to drink the chicken soup. But no matter how greedy he was, the boy did not move. It can be seen that this is a very educated and polite boy. After coming to the conclusion, Su Qingni walked out from behind the tree and walked towards the stilt house. The boy was startled when he saw Su Qingni. Ghost? Su Qingni snorted coldly, I am a human. The boy also saw Su Qingni's face clearly at this time. It turned out to be a little girl with a scar on her face. The boy felt ashamed and felt that what he said just now hurt the little girl. He quickly apologized. Yes, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that to you. Su Qingni accepted the boy's apology. Just because he was brave enough to admit his mistakes, Su Qingni had a good impression of him. You look very hungry, and the chicken soup is there, why don't you scoop it up and eat it? Su Qingni asked. The boy replied, taking without permission is stealing. I am a member of the Liu family. I must stand firm and be a human being. I would rather be a beggar than a thief. Not bad, not bad. Su Qingni praised the boy even more and asked, what's your name? My name is Liu Qingxin. The boy replied. My name is Su Qingni. Su Qingni said, we have exchanged names and are considered friends. As a friend, I will treat you to chicken soup. The boy swallowed his saliva and did not agree immediately. Su Qingni said, friends helping each other is not a pity. I'm helping you now, and when you become rich in the future, you can repay me. The boy heaved a sigh of relief and said to Su Qingni solemnly, I will definitely repay you in the future. Su Qingni smiled, put down the bamboo basket, and served the boy a bowl of chicken soup with a big chicken drumstick in the bowl. The boy was very hungry, so he took the chicken soup and drank it in big gulps. Su Qingni took the wild ginseng to her own pharmacy, went downstairs, served herself a bowl of chicken soup, and drank it. Su Qingni didn't ask the boy where he came from or why he ran into the mountains. The boy was still very simple and thought Su Qingni was a good person, so he took the initiative to talk about his experience. In a word, this person is Lin Pingxi before he worshipped Huishan. The ancestor of the young Liu Qingxin once had a peerless master who swept the world, but after the master passed away, no one in the Liu family could achieve the achievements of that ancestor, and the family fell from the first class to the second or third class. People in the martial arts world thought that the Liu family had a powerful technique, which made the Liu family ancestor a peerless master, and they all coveted the Liu family's technique. They didn't know that although the Liu family's technique was good, it was only at an ordinary first-class level, not a peerless technique. The reason why the Liu family's ancestor was able to become a peerless master was because he had a strange encounter. He once got a 1,000-year-old shy ancient snow lotus. After eating it, his skill increased by a decade, which enabled him to sweep the martial arts world. The descendants did not have the good luck of their ancestors. Relying on the family's techniques, they worked hard to practice, and the highest they could only reach the level of a first-class master, or the elementary level of the first class. People in the martial arts world did not know the inside story, and they only thought that the descendants of the Liu family were not motivated. Seeing that the Liu family was becoming more and more decadent, many people were happy in their hearts. They waited for an opportunity to destroy the Liu family and snatch the technique from the Liu family. Some time ago, Liu Qingxin had a dispute with someone, and he started fighting and accidentally killed the other party. The other party was the brother-in-law of the leader of the Niangniang gang, a first-class force in the world. The leader of the Niangniang gang was furious and took his men to attack the Liu family to avenge his brother-in-law. Liu Qingxin thought that he had brought trouble to the Liu family and felt very guilty, but his grandfather, the head of the Liu family, was very cunning and knew that the so-called revenge for his brother-in-law was just an excuse for the leader of the Niangniang gang. He was just a concubine's brother, not a legitimate brother-in-law. Their purpose was to steal the Liu family's martial arts. The Liu family had explained that their martial arts were not peerless, but people in the world did not believe it. They only believed what they thought. The Liu family had no choice but to fight the Niangniang gang. The third-rate family was no match for the first-rate gang. The Liu family was soon destroyed by the Niangniang gang. Seeing that the situation was not good, the head of the Liu family mobilized the last bit of the Liu family's power to send Liu Qingxin out and let Liu Qingxin escape quickly. The Niangniang gang sent people to chase Liu Qingxin all the way from Sichuan to southern Yunnan. On the way, all the people who were protecting Liu Qingxin were killed by the Niangniang gang, leaving only Liu Qingxin. In order to survive, Liu Qingxin ignored all the rumors about the dangers of the mountains from people outside the mountain, and plunged into the mountains and ran deep into the mountains. At this point, Liu Qingxin's face changed, and he stood up suddenly. The people from the Niangniang gang have also chased into the forest. They will definitely find this place. I have to leave quickly and can't let you get in trouble. After saying that, he was about to run. Su Qingni stretched out her hand and grabbed Liu Qingxin's arm. Don't run, they are already chasing us. What? Liu Qingxin was shocked and looked in the direction Su Qingni was looking. Sure enough, more than a dozen Niangniang gang members were already walking towards this side. The leader was the Niangniang gang's hall master, who was responsible for chasing and killing his leader. This person looked at him with a grim smile, full of murderous intent. Liu Qingxin quickly stood in front of Su Qingni and whispered, "I'm sorry, I got you into trouble. Run quickly, I'll stop them." "Can you stop them?" Su Qingni said, "If you could stop these people, you wouldn't have run to the mountains." Liu Qingxin. "New friend, give me some face and don't poke my heart, okay?" Su Qingni said again, "Don't worry, this is my territory. Don't think about leaving if they come in." After that, she pulled Liu Qingxin behind her and said to the people of Niangniang gang, "I don't want to kill people. If you know what's good for you, go back to where you came from. Otherwise." "What else?" the leader asked disdainfully. A native little girl dared to threaten them. Doesn't she know how many eyes the Horse King has? After killing the kid from the Liu family, she will catch this girl and sell her to the women's branch courtyard. This is because the leader didn't see Su Qingni's face, and the two sides were still some distance away. Then, the leader saw the scar on Su Qingni's face, was shocked, and spat, "Damn, you are an ugly freak, then you can die." Chapter 518, Goo Girl 4. Su Qingni did not say the words after otherwise. She would not threaten these people. She would only do practical things. The people from the Niangniang gang approached the two boys and girls step by step. Liu Qingni was so nervous that cold sweats came down. He felt sorry for his friends. His friends were kind enough to give him food and drink, but he actually implicated his friends. No, he must protect his friends. Liu Qingni suddenly exploded, jumped out from behind Su Qingni, and rushed towards the people from the Niangniang gang. Su Qingni was startled by him, and reacted. She immediately used Qinggong to intercept the boy halfway and pulled him down. "Watch it," Su Qingni said to Liu Qingni. "What do you mean watch it? How to watch it?" Liu Qingni was confused and looked at the people from the Niangniang gang. But he saw that all the people from the Niangniang gang suddenly trembled, and then fell to the ground and died together. Liu Qingni? Question mark? What's going on? What did the friends do? Su Qingni walked to the side of the corpse, and Liu Qingni hurried over, and saw Su Qingni stretched out her right hand above the corpse and spread it flat. Then, a shocking scene appeared. A small hole appeared on one cheek of the corpse, and a ball of gold jumped out of the hole and flew into the palm of Su Qingni's hand. Looking at Su Qingni's palm again, there was a fat golden fleshy worm. The fleshy worm crawled along Su Qingni's wrist, into Su Qingni's clothes, and disappeared. Su Qingni walked to another corpse and stretched out her hand as well. This time, a black worm jumped out of the corpse and also crawled into Su Qingni's clothes. Su Qingni walked to the third corpse. Liu Qingni got goosebumps and asked in a trembling voice, "Did you raise these insects?" "Yes." Su Qingni nodded and asked, "Why? Are you scared?" He was indeed scared, but the boy who thought he was a little man was unwilling to admit that he was afraid of insects. He swallowed his saliva and shook his head and said, I'm not afraid." Su Qingni laughed and did not expose the boy. He just took out two hoes from the tool storage place under the first floor of his stilt house and threw one of them to Liu Qingni. "Come with me to dig a pit and bury these people." "Oh, okay." Liu Qingni quickly took the hoe and followed Su Qingni to walk a distance. He dug a big pit near the mountain, and then came back with Su Qingni to move the bodies, threw all the bodies into the big pit, and buried them. Without people chasing Liu Qingni, he finally relaxed and settled down temporarily in the village. Su Qingni did not let Liu Qingni live in her own stilt house, but built a new one for him, 10 meters away from her own stilt house. Now Su Qingni's body has recovered a lot, and she has to rest for a long time if she can't move. With her flexible hands and feet and skilled skills, and with the help of Liu Qingni who has internal strength, a stilt house took 3 days to build. Su Qingni distributed some daily necessities to Liu Qingni, and made 2 sets of clothes for Liu Qingni with cloth. The clothes Liu Qingni wore from home were already torn. Liu Qingni was so moved when he got the new clothes that he almost cried. Of course, most of the reason here is that Liu Qingni remembered his mother. His mother would make a piece of clothes for him as a birthday gift every year. The daily necessities were exchanged by Su Qingni from outside the mountain and other mountain villages. There's more than one village in the mountains, but their village is in the innermost part of the mountains, half a day's journey from the nearest village, and 5 or 6 days' journey from the outside of the mountain. Of course, this is based on the average person's leg strength. Su Qingni uses Qinggong to reach the nearest mountain village in just 1 hour, and it takes 1 or 2 days to reach the foot of the mountain. Su Qingni used the skins of the prey she hunted in the mountains and the pills she made to exchange for daily necessities. At first, other people didn't know the efficacy of her pills and didn't want to exchange. But once a person suddenly fell ill and was about to die, Su Qingni fed the person the pills she made, and then the person got better. After that, everyone down the mountain knew how good Su Qingni's pills were, and they all rushed to exchange pills with him. Su Qingni made commonly used pills for treating colds, snake bites, diarrhea, and mosquitoes. These are life-saving pills for the mountain people with few doctors. Every household wants to keep some. Therefore, every time Su Qingni goes out of the mountain, she will be welcomed by the people down the mountain. Let's get back to the topic and talk about Liu Qingni. This child is a grateful child. He wants to repay Su Qingni for saving his life and taking him in, but he has nothing to repay her. He actually wants to recite the Liu family's skills and give it to Su Qingni. Su Qingni refused, of course. "I have a practice method, and I have never thought of changing to other methods. You don't have to rush to repay me. There is a long time to come. It won't be too late to repay me when you become rich in the future." Liu Qingni thought about it. Although people in the martial arts world covet their Liu family skills, there are really not many Liu family skills. Using the Liu family's skills to repay Su Qingni still suffers. So Liu Qingxin kept the matter of repaying Su Qingni in mind, but now put it behind his mind. The most important thing for him now is to practice hard, and when his strength improves, he will go out to avenge his family and revive the Liu family. It's just that, the Liu family's skills can only allow him to cultivate to the first-class elementary level, while the leader of the Niangniang gang is a first-class middle-level master. Even if he cultivates the Liu family's skills to the peak, he is still no match for the leader of the Niangniang gang. How can he take revenge? Liu Qingxin kept scratching his head and pulling his hair, feeling extremely troubled. Su Qingni walked over to sit opposite him and asked, "What are you worried about? If you pull all your hair out, you will become a bald man." Liu Qingxin put down his hands and told Su Qingni about his worries. At the end, he sighed, "Why don't I wait until I have cultivated my skills to the peak and go to Xianshan to look for the Xianshan snow lotus?" Su Qingni said, "The Xianshan snow lotus is easy to find, but if it is more than 1,000 years old, I am afraid it will be hard to find a second one." Liu Qingxin pulled his hair again. "Then what should I do? Without strong strength, how can I take revenge?" Su Qingni thought for a while and said to Liu Qingxin, "There is a kind of goo insect in our Miaojiang witchcraft called Jinayang. After taking it, it can improve a person's skills. The effect is the same as the lost Daohuan Dan of Shaolin." Liu Qingxin's eyes lit up and stared at Su Qingni. Su Qingni said, "This kind of goo insect is very difficult to refine, and it has been lost." Liu Qingxin's eyes dimmed. "Su Qingni, however, I have recently studied the refining method." Liu Qingxin's eyes lit up again. Chapter 519, The Poison Girl 5. Liu Qingxin's eyes lit up again. Su Qingni said, "But it is very difficult to refine. Not to mention the rare medicinal materials and insects, the most important thing is that the refining process is very complicated. Every step must be carefully. If there is a slight difference in one step, all the previous efforts will be wasted. The reason why the refining method has been lost is that no one has been able to refine this kind of goo insect for more than 1,000 years. My people regarded this kind of goo insect as a legend and did not pay attention to it, so the refining method was lost." Liu Qingxin's eyes dimmed again. No one has refined the Jinayang for more than 1,000 years, and he doesn't think Su Qingni can refine it. Although this girl is very smart. But Su Qingni made another turn. "I have studied the refining method carefully. As long as there are enough medicinal materials and insects, I am 50% sure that I can refine the Jinayang. Liu Qingxin's eyes did not flicker like a light bulb that was about to be scrapped this time. He complained, "Sister, can't I call you sister? Can't you change the way you talk and stop breathing so hard?" Su Qingni smiled slightly. "I am happy to." Liu Qingxin stood up and patted his butt. "I will go to practice." Su Qingni shouted behind him, "When I successfully refine the Jinayang, I will definitely give it to you." Su Qingni was very confident in refining the Jinayang. She said that to Liu Qingxin just to let him not rely too much on others and work hard on himself. Time passed while Su Qingni was refining the insect and Liu Qingxin was working hard on practicing. 5 years passed in a blink of an eye, and the half-grown boy and girl had grown up. Liu Qingxin has practiced the Liu family's martial arts to the peak. A year ago, Su Qingni refined the Jinayang and gave Liu Qingxin one. Liu Qingxin ate the Jinayang and refined it completely, increasing his internal strength by 60 years. Liu Qingxin spent a year turning all the 60 years of internal strength into his own internal strength, and jumped from a first-class master to a master-level master. Liu Qingxin's martial arts skills have been perfected, and he wants to go out of the mountains to seek revenge. Coincidentally, Su Qingni also wanted to go out of the mountains, and the two decided to go out together. "Qingni, you should change into the clothes of a Han woman," Liu Qingxin suggested to Su Qingni. "The Han people are quite discriminatory against the Miao people. If you dress like this and go out into the world, you will cause a lot of trouble." Su Qingni didn't care what kind of clothes she wore. She wore Miao people's clothes because the nearby mountain people all wore them. Now that they were about to reach the Han people's territory, they should follow the local customs. Su Qingni followed Liu Qingxin to a ready-made clothing store, each bought 2 sets of clothes, and borrowed the store's room to change clothes. Although Liu Qingxin's clothes were Han style, they were all made of Miao cloth, which looked very rough and damaged his demeanor as a young knight. Therefore, the new clothes Liu Qingxin chose were all white, and he looked like a graceful young knight when he wore them. After Su Qingni changed her clothes, she saw Liu Qingxin posing in various ways, looking conceited, and couldn't help but twitching her lips. This kid is a bit conceited because he looks good. Every time she made a set for him, he would point fingers and ask Su Qingni to make his clothes look better. How is it? Does it look good? Liu Qingxin asked Su Qingni, making a pose with one hand holding the hilt of the sword and the other hand behind his back. It looks good. Su Qingni nodded. She was telling the truth. Liu Qingxin looked good, and his temperament had changed because of the changes in his family. When facing outsiders, he was cold and pure, just like the snow on the Xianshan mountains. Except for your 3-foot-high snow, who in the world can match the white clothes? Liu Qingxin was very happy to be praised by Su Qingni, and smiled, as beautiful as melting ice and snow, attracting many people's attention and even seducing the hearts of young girls. Sister, I am Xinruomai from Lingshan School. May I have the honor to meet you? After walking out of the clothing shop, Su Qingni was stopped by a beautiful girl. The beautiful girl was about the same age as Su Qingni, with delicate features, a pair of smart eyes, and a fresh and lively temperament, which made people feel good. The beautiful girl stopped Su Qingni and looked like she wanted to be friends with Su Qingni, but her eyes were always glancing at Liu Qingxin, which was a drunkard's intention. Although Su Qingni had no ill feelings towards the beautiful girl, she didn't like being used as a ladder by others, so she just said lightly, "His name is Liu Qingxin." Without saying her own name, she walked around the beautiful girl and left. Liu Qingxin hurried to catch up, and when passing by the beautiful girl, he gave the girl a faint smile. The beautiful girl held her cheeks and was very happy. She must pursue such a handsome boy. So, there was a follower behind the two of them. Liu Qingxin didn't hate Xinruomai, and he even enjoyed the feeling of being pursued by a beautiful girl. But Su Qingni felt it was troublesome, because there was not only Xinruomai, but also several young people following behind her. They were Xinruomai's fellow disciples, and one of them was Xinruomai's pursuer. The young people were united in hatred of Liu Qingxin, the guy who had snatched their junior sister away. If Xinruomai hadn't been following Liu Qingxin, they would have wanted to draw their swords and kill Liu Qingxin. As Liu Qingxin's companion, Su Qingni was naturally not welcomed by Xinruomai's fellow disciples. Even Xinruomai didn't like Su Qingni, an ugly woman who always followed her sweetheart. Su Qingni hated trouble, and her purpose was different from Liu Qingxin's. Su Qingni simply broke up with Liu Qingxin. Liu Qingxin was very reluctant to let her go. He had no romantic feelings for Su Qingni, mainly because of Su Qingni's face, which made the beauty-loving Liu Qingxin dislike her, but after years of living together and relying on each other, a family relationship was cultivated. Liu Qingxin treated Su Qingni as his sister. Su Qingni responded to Liu Qingxin with "all good things must come to an end," and left directly. Liu Qingxin blamed Xinruomai for Su Qingni's departure, and did not give Xinruomai a good face. He used King Guang to easily get rid of Xinruomai and her group. Xinruomai was angry and sad, and blamed Su Qingni. She thought that it was Su Qingni who provoked the relationship between her and Liu Qingxin, which made Liu Qingxin leave her. But she didn't think about it. Liu Qingxin hadn't accepted her yet. Although Liu Qingxin enjoyed Xinruomai's pursuit, Xinruomai was not the type he liked. Too active, too crazy. Today, Xinruomai likes to pursue him because he looks good, but who knows if she will pursue others tomorrow because there are better-looking men. Wouldn't it be like being cuckolded if I accepted such a woman? Xinruomai had been spoiled since she was a child, and she had never been treated like this before. She immediately let her fellow disciples spread the news, and let everyone in Lingshan sect teach Su Qingni a lesson when they saw her. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 520, Gu 6. Su Qingni's next days were much more lively. She wanted to stay away from trouble, but she didn't expect that someone would take out their anger on her and trouble would come to her. Su Qingni was not a person who would swallow her anger and be soft-hearted. If anyone dared to cause trouble to her, she would definitely teach them a lesson. People from Lingshan sect came in waves, and Su Qingni taught them a lesson in waves. After beating the younger ones, the older ones came. In the end, Su Qingni was annoyed and went directly to the base camp of Lingshan sect and taught the entire Lingshan sect a lesson. completely making her own reputation. Although this reputation was not a good reputation, because she used more witchcraft. Since ancient times, witchcraft has been classified as an evil method by the righteous way. Su Qingni, a witch, was naturally labeled as a witch by the righteous way. It's just that Su Qingni is so powerful that no one dared to jump out and kill the witch to eliminate the harm to the martial arts world. Just kidding, Lingxian sect is a first-class force in the martial arts world. Its entire sect was picked by Su Qingni, and it was picked very easily. Who knows what other means Su Qingni has? They should not run to Su Qingni to die. Of course, it is okay to attack Su Qingni behind her back to show her justice, but Su Qingni herself cannot hear it. As Su Qingni's former companion, Liu Qingxin was approached by some people who bullied the weak and feared the strong. They thought Liu Qingxin was a soft persimmon, but Liu Qingxin taught them a lesson. These people were shocked to find that Liu Qingxin was actually a master of the master level. The master of the master level can be counted on one hand in the entire martial arts world. He is the existence standing at the top of the martial arts world. Which of the other four is not a man in his dozens of years old, and Liu Qingxin is only 20 years old? How did he reach this level? Everyone couldn't help but think of Liu Qingxin's surname, Liu. Could he be from the Liu family? There are still people in the Liu family alive, and they have practiced peerless martial arts like his ancestors and become top masters. Now, people in the whole world are more excited about the Liu family's skills. Unfortunately, Liu Qingxin is so powerful that although they are itching, they dare not covet him again. The leader of the Niangniang gang couldn't sit still. He was afraid. The Liu family was destroyed by him. Now Liu Qingxin has become a master-level expert and will definitely come to seek revenge on him. The leader of the Niangniang gang gritted his teeth. Liu Qingxin would definitely not let him go. So he decided to fight to the death. He called all the gang members back to the headquarters, wanting to use the advantage of numbers to consume Liu Qingxin's internal strength. When Liu Qingxin's internal strength was exhausted, he would sneak attack Liu Qingxin and kill him. The leader of the Niangniang gang had a good idea, but his gang members were not stupid. How could they not see that the leader of the Niangniang gang was pushing them out to die and using them as cannon fodder? They didn't want to die. When Liu Qingxin arrived at the headquarters of the Niangniang gang, these gang members scattered and didn't go up to fight Liu Qingxin at all. They all ran away, leaving only a few loyal men by the side of the leader of the Niangniang gang. Liu Qingxin walked to the side of the leader of the Niangniang gang easily. Half an hour later, Liu Qingxin walked out of the headquarters of the Niangniang gang. Since then, the Niangniang gang has been removed from the underworld. Liu Qingxin took the head of the leader of the Niangniang gang back to the Liu family, found the bodies of his family members again, buried them in the ancestral tomb, and used the head of the leader of the Niangniang gang to commemorate his dead relatives. After doing all this, Liu Qingxin was at a loss. The house and property of the Liu family were taken back, but he was the only one left in the entire Liu family. How could she make the Liu family prosperous again? Well, is it to marry a wife and have more children? However, he has no sweetheart now, and he can't get married and have children for the time being. Thinking of this, Liu Qingxin's sight was suddenly attracted by a figure. It was a very beautiful woman, more beautiful than Xinruomi who pursued him before, and her temperament was very pure. She seemed to be covered with a layer of light smoke and mist, which seemed real and illusory, as if a fairy had come to the world. Liu Qingxin couldn't help staring blankly, and walked towards the woman stupidly. "Miss, may I know your name?" "Yijian Villa, Yizin Liu." Su Qingni was looking for the extremely yin place while searching for the murderer in the mountain village. Su Qingni read the memories left in the original body's mind over and over again, and it was confirmed that those people came from the same force. The martial arts they used were similar, and they were probably from the same sect. Because she looked down on the mountain people in the mountain village and thought they were a group of barbarians without martial arts, she did not cover up much, not even covering her face. The original owner saw the appearance of several people, and Su Qingni could determine which force these people belonged to based on their appearance in martial arts. The clues were obvious, and Su Qingni didn't spend too much time to find out which force it was. Yijian Villa. After knowing that it was Yijian Villa that took action, Su Qingni investigated why they took action against a mountain village and found out the reason. Sure enough, it was Yinling who left the mountain village to find an excellent lover. Yinling is very beautiful, otherwise she would not be so proud and look down on the men in the village. thinking that none of them are worthy of her. After leaving the village, Yinling was pursued by many men because of her beautiful appearance. Among them, there were men with mean means who wanted to use force on Yinling, but she was rescued by a hero. The one who saved Yinling was Yi Xinchen, the eldest son of Yijin Villa, a famous handsome man in the martial arts world. Yi Xinchen is good-looking, has strong martial arts skills, and has an outstanding family background. He is the dream lover in the minds of all women, and the other half that Yinling wants to find. The two people fell in love with each other and naturally became a couple. Yinling is the daughter of the village owner. She knows about the inheritance of Gu in the village. Although she has not learned Gu, she took away a pair of love Gu when she left the village. Yinling recognized Yi Xinchen and gave both Yi Xinchen and herself the love Gu. Yi Xinchen himself didn't know that he had eaten the love Gu. Although he liked Yinling very much, he had never thought of marrying Yinling as his wife. He was the heir of Yijin Villa. The wife he would marry in the future would naturally be a girl from a family with equal power to his own, a woman who could bring benefits to his family, not a woman who was only beautiful and could not even read or do martial arts. This woman was even a foreigner and had no family background. Yi Xinchen liked Yinling and just wanted her to be his concubine. But Yinling didn't think so. She required a man to be devoted to her and only her as a woman. Yi Xinchen marrying another woman would be a betrayal, and Yinling could not accept it anyway. Yi Xinchen followed his parents' arrangement to marry another girl from a martial arts family, and Yinling exploded. Chapter 521, Gu Nu Qi. Yinling did not activate the love potion at the beginning. She did not want to die yet. She just wanted Yi Xinchen to change his mind and go back to the village with her. Yinling made a scene at the engagement banquet on the day of Yi Xinchen's engagement, which made other people in the martial arts world feel tired of the joke of Yijin Villa. The owner of Yijin Villa was furious and beat Yinling severely. Yinling originally hoped that Yi Xinchen could help him, but Yi Xinchen stared at Yinling coldly as if he was staring at a dead person, and no longer had any love for Yinling. Yinling was hit hard and realized that Yi Xinchen was not the man she thought she was. Yinling was disappointed with Yi Xinchen. In addition, her internal organs were damaged and her injuries were extremely serious. She would not live for a few days, so Yinling activated the love potion in her body. The love potion in Yinling's body moved, and the love potion in Yi Xinchen's body also moved. Yi Xinchen got a strange disease and large pieces of his body began to rot. The famous doctors in the world were invited by Yijin Villa to treat Yi Xinchen, but none of them could tell what disease Yi Xinchen had. It was only after the owner of Yaowang Villa looked up the records of his ancestors that he determined that Yi Xinchen was poisoned by a Gu, or a love Gu. If the person poisoned betrays the other party will activate the love Gu in his body, and the person poisoned will die within 7 days, and the other party will not survive for 7 days. The people of Yijin Villa hurried to find Yinling, trying to force Yinling to remove the Gu worm from Yi Xinchen's body. Yinling would rather die than help Yi Xinchen remove the Gu worm. Besides, she didn't know how to use Gu. How could she remove the Gu worm? She wanted to live and die with Yi Xinchen, and go to the underground to be a pair of wives. Yinling was tortured by the people of Yijin Villa in various ways but refused to give in, and was finally tortured to death. Not long after her death, Yi Xinchen also died. The carefully cultivated heir died because of a woman. Master Yi was furious. Not only did he chop up Yinling's body and feed it to the dogs, he also took his anger out on the people in the entire village, so he sent the people in the villa to kill everyone in the village. In fact, Master Yi had another calculation in his mind, wanting to get the Gu technique from the village. A love Gu has such power. If his Yi family mastered other Gu techniques, wouldn't it be possible to kill people invisibly? Which forces were at odds with the Yi family, which forces blocked the Yi family's way, he would use Gu techniques to destroy those forces. Master Yi had a good idea, but unfortunately he searched the entire village and couldn't find the inheritance of Gu techniques. In a rage, he burned down the entire village. He thought that if he couldn't get the inheritance of Gu techniques, no one else could get it. But he didn't know that there was a secret room under the village, and the inheritance of Gu techniques was in the secret room. After finding the murderer, Su Qingni would avenge the people in the village. She went straight to Yijin Villa and used witchcraft on the murderers who participated in the killing of the people in the village, including the owner of Yi Villa. She let the owner of Yi Villa experience what witchcraft was like. Su Qingni killed those who did it at the beginning, but did not kill the owner of Yi Villa immediately. He had not experienced the effect of witchcraft enough, How could he die so soon? Because of Su Qingni's cat and mouse mentality, she waited for the unexpected person. Su Qingni did not expect that one day Liu Qixin would point his weapon at her. Now, Liu Qixin pointed his longsword at her for a woman. Years of companionship and support are not as good as love between men and women. I didn't expect that we would become enemies. Su Qingni sighed. Liu Qixin said, Qingni, as long as you let the owner of Yu Villa go, I will not use my sword against you. Su Qingni sneered, then did you let Nan Xianhao go? Nan Xianhao is the leader of the Niangniang gang. Liu Qixin said, it's different. Su Qingni, what's the difference? Nan Xianhao killed your whole family, so you seek revenge on Nan Xianhao. Yi Shanchuan killed everyone in our village, so I seek revenge on him, what's wrong? Liu Qixin said, but the people in your village killed the son of Master Yi first, so you are wrong. Su Qingni snorted coldly. Yi Xinjian played with Sister Yinling and betrayed their feelings. He deserved to die. Moreover, Sister Yinling died with him. Two people cannot be born on the same day, month and year, but it's good to die on the same day, month and year, isn't it? Besides, only Yi Xinjian died, but Yi Shanchuan killed hundreds of people in our village, and they were all innocent people. Such a cruel and vicious person, can you say he is innocent? Liu Qixin was silent. He felt that Su Qingni was right, but Yi Shanchuan was the father of his beloved woman. He promised his beloved woman to save Yi Shanchuan, so he could only feel sorry for Su Qingni. I'm sorry. After saying these three words, Liu Qixin rushed towards Su Qingni. His speed was very fast, and the power of his sword was very huge. No one in the martial arts world could block his attack. Even the other four masters could only dodge. However, Su Qingni not only blocked his attack, but also very easily. Liu Qixin was shocked, and the others hiding in the dark were also shocked. This Gu girl not only knows how to use Gu, but also has such powerful martial arts? You? Liu Qixin was so shocked that he didn't know what to say. After being with Su Qingni for several years, he saw Su Qingni refining Gu again and again. He only thought that Su Qingni's Gu skills were superb, but her martial arts were just mediocre, but he didn't expect that Su Qingni's martial arts were higher than his own. Why are you so surprised? Su Qingni chuckled, I made the Jinayang Gu. Since I can give it to you, why don't you keep one for yourself? Yes. Su Qingni has the Jinayang Gu, which can increase her internal strength by a decade, so of course she can become a martial arts master. Liu Qixin, have you been on guard against me? Su Qingni said, those who are not of my race must have different hearts. You were young at that time, and you should have been sincere to me. But after you have been in the world for so long, will you still maintain your original sincerity? Will you still look down on Miao women? Liu Qixin opened his mouth, wanting to say that he was still sincere to Su Qingni and treated her as a relative, but he couldn't say it. Now that he drew his sword against Su Qingni for the sake of his beloved woman, he had already severed the family relationship between them. Su Qingni smiled and said, Liu Qixin, I will let you go because we grew up together. But if you want to come to me to avenge your father-in-law next time, I will not show mercy. By the way, let me warn you, marry a virtuous wife and she will bring less trouble to her husband. Aren't you trying to revitalize the Liu family? With a daughter from such a vicious family as your wife, do you think your children and grandchildren can grow up to be upright people and make your Liu family stronger? Young man, it's okay to love beauty, but being obsessed with beauty can be fatal. Liu Qixin. Chapter 522, The Poison Girl. Su Qingni exerted force on her hand and knocked Liu Qixin away with one palm. Liu Qixin spat out a mouthful of blood. He was injured, although not seriously, but he temporarily lost the strength to fight again. Su Qingni ignored Liu Qixin and Yi Xinayu, who was staring at her with hatred, and walked towards the owner of Yijin Villa. Yi Xinayu held a sword in front of Master Yin Manor, her face full of hatred and jealousy. Don't come over. Su Qingni ignored her and said to Master Yin Manor, you killed more than 100 people in my village, but I only killed you, the main culprit and the people who started it at that time, and spared your family and innocent people in the villa. What do you say? Master Yin Manor spat out a mouthful of blood and said hatefully, I only regret that I didn't kill you at the beginning, so that you could have the opportunity to come back for revenge. Su Qingni snorted coldly, you are so stubborn, aren't you afraid of angering me? I will kill all your family members. Master Yin Manor snorted, can you be so kind? You said in front of me that you would let my family go? but who knows what you will do to them afterwards. Your Miao people's witchcraft kills people invisibly, and you don't even understand how my family died. Su Qingni said, we Miao people speak with a spit and a nail, unlike you, a hypocritical hypocrite. Master Yu Manor suddenly attacked, slapped his daughter in front of him towards Su Qingni, and turned and ran away. Su Qingni sneered softly, and moved her feet slightly to avoid Yu Zinai, who was rushing towards her. The poor fairy-like beautiful girl fell flat on her face, her nose hitting the ground, and 2 streams of blood flowed out of her nose. She looked ridiculous and embarrassed, completely destroying her fairy image. Su Qingni looked at the back of Yi Zhuangzi running away, and her smile became bigger. Since you know that my Ojiang's Gu technique kills people invisibly, you still want to escape. Did the Gu worm suddenly eat your brain? Su Qingni moved her fingers, and Yi Zhuangzi, who was performing Qingguang, suddenly fell from mid-air. When he reached the ground, he had become a corpse. After avenging everyone in the village, Su Qingni retired and left Yijin Villa amid the cries of the Yi family. The events of Yijin Villa soon spread throughout the world, which further enhanced Su Qingni's reputation. However, because the grievances between Su Qingni and Yijin Villa were told by people who knew the inside story, many people with conscience felt that the fault was with Yijin Villa. They killed the entire village, while Su Qingni only killed the main culprit and did not harm other people in the villa. Compared with the two, Su Qingni's character is better. Therefore, Su Qingni's reputation has become better. A month later, the eldest lady of Yijin Villa announced to the public that whoever could kill Su Qingni would marry that person. Yi Zinayu is the most beautiful woman in the world, and there are countless men who like her. If it were another matter, no matter how difficult it was, those men would rise to the challenge in order to marry Yi Zinayu. But dealing with Su Qingni, even the master-level Master Liu Qixin couldn't get around in Su Qingni's hands. They went to Su Qingni to make trouble, weren't they sending food to Su Qingni? Don't say that ants bite elephants to death. That woman is a Gu woman, who knows Gu magic. When there are many people, she uses Gu magic to fight against the enemy, and the enemies fall in groups. For example, you can refer to Lingshan sect. For such a powerful person, they will kill the other party unless they are stupid. What's the use of beauty if you don't have the life to enjoy it? Yi Zinayu's declaration became a joke. No man responded to her call, and her reputation as the most beautiful woman in the world was also shaky because of this incident. The second most beautiful woman in the world, who was only a step behind her in beauty, seized the opportunity to destroy Yi Zinayu's reputation and replaced her as the most beautiful woman in the world. Yi Zinayu was hit hard. Yijin Villa fell because of the death of Yi Zhuangzi. There was no other man to help her, and she thought of Liu Qixin again. Unfortunately, when she announced that she would marry the man who killed Su Qingni, Liu Qixin left her. Liu Qixin was also deeply hit. He broke up with his childhood friend for Yi Zinayu, and almost became an enemy. But his sweetheart despised him for not being able to save his sweetheart's father, and actually went to find other men. Even if he loved Yi Zinayu, Liu Qixin couldn't accept it. Moreover, he was indeed affected by the last words Su Qingni said. When choosing a wife, one should not only look at the appearance, the inner qualities are also important. Liu Qixin finally chose a girl who was good-looking but not particularly beautiful, gentle and strong, and whose family members were also good. After getting married, Liu Qixin settled down in the old house of the Liu family and gave birth to 4 sons and 2 daughters with his wife. The entire Liu family was supported and gradually grew stronger. When Su Qingni was refining the Jinian Gu, Liu Qixin was an assistant and knew the process of refining the Jinian Gu. In the spare time when his children were learning martial arts, Liu Qixin began to refine the Jinian Gu himself. The Liu family's skills are really not very good. In order to prevent the descendants of the Liu family from being coveted by other forces and exterminating the Liu family's skills, Liu Qixin must leave a means of survival for the Liu family. After consuming a lot of resources, Liu Qixin finally refined a Jinian Gu. He left the Jinian Gu to his children and grandchildren, and the method of refining the Jinian Gu was also left. After 2 or 3 generations, let a grandson or great-grandson eat the Jinian Gu, and another master-level expert will appear in the Liu family, who can protect the Liu family for another 100 years. At that time, the whole family will work together to refine a Jinian Gu. The Liu family will be able to pass it down. Liu Qixin was very concerned about the news about Su Qingni in the martial arts world while he was busy. He hoped to see Su Qingni again and wanted to say sorry to Su Qingni. Unfortunately, the news of Su Qingni only circulated in the martial arts world for 6 years, and there was no news of Su Qingni after that. It is said that Su Qingni returned to Miaojiang and returned to her hometown. Su Qingni discovered the extremely yin land in the 5th year of wandering in the martial arts world, buried the netherworld stone and returned to Miaojiang. She suddenly had the idea to create the 5 poison sect in Miaojiang and passed on the Gu technique. She also playfully tried to refine Gu insects such as phoenix Gu, withered Gu, mysterious water Gu, sleeping Gu and heart-confusing Gu. Nirvana in the fire, birth and death in an instant. Orioles fly and flowers fade, prosperity and decline. The water of the dark world, the flow of the elixir. Dreaming of thousands of relatives, the soul returns to Miaojiang. It took Su Qingni 20 years to research and refine it, although the effect is not as good as the poisonous insect effect of the 5 poison sect of the Tang dynasty. Su Qingni also wanted to research skills such as the holy hand weaving the sky and the 1,000 butterflies spewing rui, but the rules of this world do not support such more fantasy skills. These skills cannot be researched, which makes Su Qingni very regretful. Su Qingni knew that Liu Qixin wanted to see her. When Liu Qixin's life ended, she went to see Liu Qixin and accepted Liu Qixin's apology. After Liu Qixin's death, the fragments of the true spirit of Shibishi were taken out from his body. Chapter 523 Phoenix Man 1. Uncle Shitao, Aunt Shitao, I am willing to marry into the Su family. A young man of about 18 or 19 years old said to a middle-aged couple sitting on a wooden block, but I have one condition. You have to support me to go to college, and when I graduate from college, I will marry Sister Qingni and take care of you in the future. The middle-aged couple was very tempted, and the wife wanted her husband to agree, but the husband thought a little more and asked, really marry into the Su family? Will the children you give birth to in the future have our surname? Don't you want your children to have your surname? The young man spoke very honestly, and he had to be honest so that the Su family couple could see his sincerity, so that they would support him to go to college, so that he could get out of the poor mountain village and have a bright future. The first child born to Sister Qingni and I will have your surname. If the first child is a girl, then the second child will also have your surname if it is a boy. The next children can have my surname. The husband was very satisfied with the young man's answer. He tapped his pipe and was about to agree when a girl of 15 or 16 years old ran over from a distance. Dad, Mom, I don't want to get married. The girl cried. We didn't ask you to get married now. Aunt Shitao hurriedly said to the girl, you are still young, we don't want you to get married so early. Let you get engaged to Ziyun first, and wait until he graduates from college and you are 19, then get married. No. The girl hurriedly said, I don't like Brother Ziyun, and I don't want to be his wife. You want me to marry him, I feel uncomfortable all over. Uncle Shitao asked, Ziyun is so outstanding, why don't you like him? What kind of person do you like? The young man turned pale when he heard the girl's objection. With Uncle Shitao and Aunt Shitao's love for their daughter, Su Qingni insisted on not marrying him, and Uncle Shitao and Aunt Shitao naturally would not agree to him marrying into the family. Then what about his college tuition? Does he have to go out to work and can't go to college? What about his future? The young man opened his mouth, but did not speak. He knew that he couldn't speak at this time. How could he, an outsider, interrupt when the family of 3 was talking? The girl only said, I don't have anyone I like. I'm still young, and I'm not in a hurry to get married if I like anything. Dad, Mom, I'm going to college in the future, wouldn't it be better to find a city person in school then? Uncle Shitao frowned. Is a city person willing to marry into our family? Su Qingni said, find someone with many brothers and sisters, like Brother Ziyun's family, maybe they will be willing to marry into our family. Uncle Shitao and Aunt Shitao were very moved. It would be such a face-saving thing to find a city person as a son-in-law. Zuo Ziyun saw the expressions of Aunt Shitao and Uncle Shitao, and realized that they were convinced by Su Qingni. His body was shaky and his face became paler. His body was not very healthy to begin with, and he almost fainted after being hit so hard. Su Qingni sighed in her heart when she saw Zuo Ziyun like this. This man is quite pitiful, but she doesn't want to get married, so she can only block his way to marry into our family. However, she can help this man in another way. Su Qingni said to Zuo Ziyun, Brother Ziyun, although I can't marry you, my family can lend you money to support your college education. But you have to write us an IOU, and pay us back after you graduate and get a job. What do you think? Zuo Ziyu nodded repeatedly. What do you think? Of course it's good. And it's better than marrying into the Su family. As a grown man, how could he marry into the Su family if he really had no other choice? He doesn't even care about his dignity as a man. Qingni. Uncle Shitao and Aunt Shitao spoke up, and they didn't agree with Su Qingni's idea. Why should their family lend money to Zuo Ziyu? Is he a member of their family? The Zuo family is so poor, can they afford to pay back the money? Su Qingni smiled at her parents. Dad, Mom, don't you trust Brother Ziyun's character? Brother Ziyun has good grades. When he graduates from college and finds a job in the city, he will definitely be able to make money and pay off the loan. Brother Ziyun, don't you think so? Yes, yes, yes. Zuo Ziyu nodded repeatedly and raised his right hand to swear that he would definitely pay back the money after he got a job, and remember the kindness of the Su family to him, and would definitely repay this kindness in the future. Uncle Shitao and Aunt Shitao thought about it, exchanged opinions, nodded in agreement, and asked Zuo Ziyu to write a promissory note, calculating the total amount of tuition and living expenses for the first year. Aunt Shitao went to the house to get the money and gave it to Zuo Ziyu, who gave the promissory note to Aunt Shitao. The two parties agreed to give Zuo Ziyu money once a year. Zuo Ziyu took the money, a relieved smile appeared on his face, bowed deeply to the three members of the Su family, and said goodbye and left the Su family. He also hurried home to pack his luggage. There were 3 days before school registration, and he had to leave as soon as possible. Look at you, how can you look down on such a good boy? Without outsiders, Aunt Shitao stretched out her finger to poke her daughter's forehead, looking annoyed. Su Qingni covered her forehead and smiled and dodged. Dad, Mom, although Zuo Ziyu is good, the Zuo family is not good. With such an in-law, our family will also be dragged down. That's true. Aunt Shitao nodded and sighed. Ziyu is also unlucky. Uncle Shitao nodded in agreement. The Zuo family is too poor, and Zuo Liaoda's wife is not a good one. Su Qingni listened to the conversation between the two, and the relevant information of the Zuo family automatically emerged in her mind. The Zuo family is the poorest family in the village. Zuo Liaoda, the head of the Zuo family, broke his leg 8 years ago and spent all the family savings. Unfortunately, his leg is still lame. The lame Zuo Liaoda can't do heavy work, so the family's income has decreased. And there were many children in their family. The eldest son who was able to work and his wife wanted to separate the family. Apart from giving some filial piety to their biological father every year, they didn't care about other people, which made the Zuo family live a very tight life. Zuo Laoda married 2 wives and had 8 children, 5 sons and 3 daughters. The eldest son, the eldest daughter, the second daughter and the second son were born to his first wife. When giving birth to the second son, she had a dystocia and died. Zuo Laoda felt that it was the second son who killed his wife and that the second son was a jinx. He didn't like this son very much. Especially after his wife who came and later gave birth to 3 sons in a row, Zuo Laoda disliked this second son even more. It is natural that a stepmother will not treat the children born to her husband's ex-wife well, especially the wife that Zuo Laoda married later, who was cruel and selfish. She treated the children of her ex-wife worse than other stepmothers. The eldest son was Zuo Laoda's first child, so he naturally valued him a little. He was quite good to the eldest son, but as for the second son. Chapter 524 Phoenix Male Second. The second son of the Zuo family is Zuo Ziyu. He is not liked by his biological father, and his stepmother dislikes him even more. Fortunately, he has a biological brother and 2 sisters to protect him. Zuo Ziyu grew up safely, and his grades are very good. He was admitted to university. But the Zuo family is poor, and the eldest son of Zuo doesn't like this son. Naturally, he will not pay for his son's college tuition, and he wants Zuo Ziyu to go home to farm to make money to support the family. Zuo Ziyu naturally won't agree. Support the family? Who to support? Isn't it the stepmother and the younger brothers and sisters born by the stepmother? Why should he be a cow and a horse for these people? But the eldest brother and 2 sisters can't afford so much money for him to go to college. The eldest brother and the eldest brother of Zuo had a falling out and separated from the Zuo family. The eldest brother of Zuo didn't give much to the eldest brother of Zuo. The eldest brother of Zuo and the eldest sister-in-law of Zuo worked hard to make a living for the family. They also owed foreign debts because of building a house, and they really couldn't afford to let Zuo Ziyu continue to study. Both sisters are married. Although their in-laws have some money, They can't always help their brother-in-law. Zuo Ziyun was able to finish high school smoothly, and most of the tuition was paid by his two sisters. The cost of going to college is much more than that of high school. Zuo Ziyun can't ask his two sisters for money, otherwise his two brothers-in-law will divorce his sisters. Zuo Ziyun must go to college. Only by going to college can he get out of this small mountain village and have a bright future. He doesn't want to be a farmer who faces the lowest and backs the sky all day. But how to raise tuition? Zuo Ziyun set his sights on the Su family. Su Shitao is a carpenter in the village, and his craftsmanship is better than that of other carpenters in the county. Relying on his skills, Su Shitao made a lot of money. His family conditions are the best in the village. Even the nearby villages are not as good as Su Shitao in economic conditions. Su Shitao's wife was injured in childbirth, and the couple had only one daughter. The two once said that they would recruit a son-in-law for their daughter in the future, and the child born would have the surname of the old Su family. Although the villagers and people around coveted the money of the Su family, no one really wanted to be recruited into the house. Now, Zuo Ziyun remembered what Su Shitao said. For his own future, to be able to leave the mountain village, and to get rid of his biological father and stepmother's family, Zuo Ziyun would rather marry a son-in-law. Although he didn't like the little girl Su Qingni, he was a trustworthy man. When he became successful, he would definitely marry Su Qingni as his wife, and support Su Shitao and his wife in the future, treating them as his elders. As for Zuo Laoda and his stepmother, they could stay wherever they wanted. What Zuo Ziyun didn't expect was that Su Qingni didn't agree to marry him, and even proposed to lend him money to go to college. This is better, he doesn't have to sell his marriage. When Zuo Ziyun left the village with his luggage, he was still dizzy and thought he was dreaming. He left at dawn, so that his stepmother and his brothers and sisters wouldn't know that he was leaving and stop him. Humph, he had been on guard against them for a long time, and he didn't let them know which university he was admitted to. When he left the village, they would never find him again. The elder brothers and sisters would not tell their stepmother which university they went to. The camera turned back to Su Qingni. Su Qingni chatted with Su Shitao and Aunt Shitao about the gossip of the Zuo family for a while. Su Qingni said, "Dad, I drew a picture. Can you make the things in the picture for me?" "What?" Su Shitao asked. Su Shitao would give his only daughter whatever she asked. If his daughter asked him to make something, he would definitely make it for her and make it the best. Su Qingni ran into her room, took out 2 pieces of paper, and handed one to Su Shitao. Su Shitao took a look and said, "Is this an ornament?" Su Qingni nodded and said, "I want an embroidered ornament. I'll ask you to make the frame and base of the ornament. I'll ask Mom to do the embroidery. I've drawn all the patterns." After that, Su Qingni handed another piece of paper to Aunt Shitao. Aunt Shitao also took it quickly. No one in the village knew that Aunt Shitao had a very powerful embroidery skill. It was just because the village was poor, and no one could appreciate the time-consuming and expensive skill of embroidery. Moreover, the finished products could not be sold. If they were sold at a high price, no one would buy them, and if they were sold at a low price, they would lose money, so they simply did not sell them. Aunt Shitao did not let others know about her skills, and at most embroidered a few patterns for her daughter and her husband. Su Qingni saw from the patterns that Aunt Shitao embroidered for her that Aunt Shitao had very good skills, so she wanted Uncle Shitao and Aunt Shitao to work together to make exquisite works, and then she would help the two of them sell them to make more money for the family to improve their lives. Although Su Shitao's family had the best conditions in the village, they could not compare with those in the county town, let alone those in the big city. Although they had good conditions, the family only ate meat twice a week. Su Qingni considered herself a carnivorous creature, so she still had to have meat for every meal. Su Qingni was the baby of the Su family, and she made a request, and Su Shitao and his wife could not refuse. Aunt Shitao looked at the blueprint and said happily, "My daughter's drawings are really beautiful. I will go to the city tomorrow to buy needles, thread and fabrics. Mom, I'll go with you." Su Qingni glanced at Su Shitao and said, "Dad, you should go too. Our family hasn't been to the county town together for a long time." "Okay, let's go together." Su Shitao smiled and said, "Bring more money to buy nice clothes for my daughter." "I don't want clothes. My clothes are still in good condition. But Dad and Mom's clothes are old and need to buy new ones." Su Qingni looked at the patched clothes of the Su family couple and sighed in her heart that the couple really loved their children. All the good things were given to their daughter, and they suffered the hardships themselves. My daughter is really filial. Su Shitao and Aunt Shitao were very happy to hear this, and felt that their daughter was really a caring and filial little cotton-padded jacket. The next day, the family of 3 got up early in the morning and left the village without eating breakfast. The village is 20 miles away from the county town. It takes more than 2 hours to walk there on foot. However, there are minibuses on the road that go into the city. The fare is 10 cents per person, and it only takes half an hour to get into the city. But it is difficult to get on this bus. Even if you can confirm the time when the minibus passes by, if the bus is already full of people and you can't get on the bus, you can only walk. This time, the family of 3 was lucky. Not long after leaving the village, they saw a minibus. There were not many people on it. The family of 3 quickly waved to the minibus to stop and got on the minibus. Chapter 525 Phoenix Man 3. There were still seats on the minibus, so Su Qingni asked Su Shitao and Aunt Shitao to sit there, and she stood beside them. The smell in the bus was really bad, not to mention the smell of gasoline, but also the smell of poultry and livestock such as chicken shit and duck shit, and the smell of people. When they gathered together, the smell was simply unbearable. Su Qingni quickly took out the orange peel that she had prepared long ago from her pocket and put it under her nostrils before she dared to breathe. The rules of this world do not allow martial arts practice, so Su Qingni could not do internal breathing. Fortunately, she only endured for more than 10 minutes, and the minibus entered the county town. Su Qingni rushed out of the car as soon as possible. Su Shitao and Aunt Shitao got off the bus after a long time. Seeing their daughter standing not far away and breathing heavily, they couldn't help but laugh, and felt a little distressed. The 3 of them went to have breakfast first. There was a rice noodle stall next to the platform, which had been there for several years. The taste was good and the portion was large. Many people who came to the city would go to the stall to eat a bowl, as a reward for themselves and to have some oil in their stomachs. The 3 of them found a table and sat down, ordering 3 bowls of rice noodles with mixed sauce. The mixed sauce was made by stir-frying pork skin and dried vegetables, which was very fragrant. The soup was made by boiling big bones, which was full of meat and oil, but the price was not expensive. People in the countryside who could not eat meat for many years would eat such a bowl every time they came to the city, which was also considered eating meat. The rice noodles were very generous, and the 3 of them had a bulging stomach. After dinner, the sun had come out and the shops on the street were open. The family of 3 walked around the street again, bought some daily necessities and seasonings, and then turned to the only state-owned store in the county. Because it was a store in a small county, the variety of things inside was completely incomparable to those in big cities, but the basics were still available. Su Qingni and the other 2 came to the counter selling fabrics and searched for a long time, and finally found white silk for embroidery. This white silk was not of the highest quality, but I was thankful to be able to buy it, and I couldn't be too picky about the quality. I couldn't use cotton cloth for embroidery, right? Cotton cloth was not up to standard for ornaments. After buying the white silk, they went to buy embroidery thread. There were many colors of embroidery thread, and Aunt Shitao bought a lot of each. The family had almost used up all the money they brought, leaving only the money for lunch and the fare to return to the village in the afternoon. They had lunch at a state-owned restaurant. A bowl of braised pork, a piece of sweet and sour fish, a plate of fried shredded potatoes, and a pound of white rice. The family of 3 was full again. After the meal, Su Shitao bought 3 big meat buns for the 3 of them. People nowadays are honest, and the big meat buns they make are also honest. A meat bun is bigger than an adult man's fist, and eating one can make a person 6/10 full. After taking the stinky minibus all the way, the 3 returned to the village. It was getting late, and at this time, the villagers should have dinner at home. However, the 3 people found that everyone in the village had come out, as if they were watching the fun. Aunt Shitao quickly walked to the woman who had a good relationship with her and asked, "Third aunt, what happened? Why are you all watching the fun?" Third aunt laughed and gossiped with Aunt Shitao. The second son of the Zuo family ran away. The wife of the eldest son of the Zuo family went to ask the eldest son for him, but was beaten out by the eldest son. She is not the eldest son's biological mother, and she still expects the eldest son to respect her? Everyone knows that she wants to trick the younger brother into making the group of people she and he gave birth to work like slaves. The eldest son has wanted to beat her for a long time, but she ended up delivering herself to the door. Aunt Shitao was also amused. The Zuo family has a son of her own. Why doesn't she let her son work in the fields and work like a slave? Her third son has also graduated from high school, but he didn't get into college. Sixth aunt on the side said disdainfully, his third son is lazy and cunning. How can he be willing to work in the fields? It is said that he found a job in the county. Aunt Shitao was surprised. Find a job in the county? The third son of the Zuo family is quite capable. What ability? It's earned by betraying your own brother. The third aunt curled her lips and said, I heard that there is a family in the county whose daughter is a fool. The family loves their daughter very much, so they spread the word that whoever marries their daughter will be helped to find a job and work in the county. The third boy of the Zuo family got the news, so he ran to the fool's house and reported his second brother's name. The second boy of the Zuo family is so outstanding. He has good grades in high school and was admitted to college this year. The family is very satisfied and decided to marry their daughter to the second boy of the Zuo family, but the job was arranged for the third boy of the Zuo family. Now the second boy of the Zuo family has run away. If the third boy of the Zuo family does not want to lose his job in the county, he can only take it over and marry that fool. The women around him said it serves him right when they heard it. The third boy of the Zuo family is not kind, and even God doesn't like him. Su Qingni and the Su couple finally understood why Zuo Ziyun came to their house yesterday and said he wanted to be a live-in son-in-law. If the Su family had not lent money to Zuo Ziyun yesterday, he could not marry into the Su family, and he could only marry a fool. The Su couple were glad that they listened to their daughter yesterday and lent money to Zuo Ziyun, so that Zuo Ziyun could escape and go to college. Zuo Ziyun is a good kid, and he can't be harmed by his bad-hearted brother. Brother Zuo didn't know anything about the questions of his biological father and stepmother. He only said that he knew his younger brother was admitted to college, but what specific college was it? He didn't see his younger brother's college admission letter, so how could he know which college it was? Don't believe it? There is nothing he can do if he doesn't believe it. If you dare to make trouble at home again, you will be beaten with fists. The biological father can't be beaten, so what if the stepmother beats you? And those brothers and sisters can be used as sandbags. Humph, with their weak little bodies, how can they be his opponents? The Zuo family was frightened by the beatings by the eldest brother and the eldest sister-in-law, and ran away in shame. They did not go home, but went to the homes of the eldest and second sisters of the Zuo family to inquire about the whereabouts of Zuo Ziyun. The two sisters also said in unison that they did not know. They wanted to use violence to interrogate, but were the two in-laws vegetarians? In the end, the Zuo family could not find Zuo Ziyun, and the third boy of the Zuo family did not want to marry a fool, so he did not get a job in the county. As Aunt Liu said, the third boy was lazy and cunning, and he was not willing to go home and farm obediently. One day he left the village, and it was said that he ran to the south with several young people. The Zuo family lost 2 laborers, and the family became even poorer and could not survive. The Zuo family's mother-in-law finally let the 2 daughters drop out of school, exchanged them for betrothal gifts, and supported the youngest son to go to school. From then on, the 2 daughters hated the Zuo family's mother-in-law, and after getting married, they never went back to their parents' home to visit the eldest brother Zuo and his wife. Let's not talk about the Zuo family, and turn back to the Su family. The Su family couple started working according to Su Qingni's drawings. Su Qingni also started school and went to the middle school in the county. The original body started school early, so although she is only 16 years old now, Su Qingni is already in the 2nd year of high school. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.